I'm Jessica, and this is ATC presents Daebak K-Rambles, where a couple of friends review Korean dramas. And today, on a very emotional, kind of crazy episode, I'm predicting it will be crazy, I have repeat guest Mina from the Kpop Bookshelf Podcast. Mina, girl, how are you?
Good. How are you, Jess? You survived.
I survived. I guess we should tell everybody that there was a hurricane this week in Florida, and Hurricane Ian, and thankfully my family and I are doing great. But Mina was basically in the know because we had this podcast episode scheduled right smack in the middle of the hurricane and we had to postpone. It was crazy. Mina, thank you so much for working with me on this.
How dare you schedule this hurricane?
No, I scheduled the hurricane and then I realized later that I had the podcast. And so anyway, long story short, we're here finally. Everyone's good. Yay. Mina, thank you so much again. You've been really gracious in making yourself available to do this podcast at all different kind of times. And we're here. We're ready to talk about Mr. Sunshine. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so housekeeping. If this is your first time listening, go ahead and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and many more. And if you like us, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That goes such a long way for us. And come and check us out on social media to stay up to date on our latest episodes and reviews. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at ATC Daebak Pod. And if you're a fan, this is the last thing you can do. You can become a patron for as little as $2 a month. You can support the show and get exclusive content just for you. You can check out the page on patreon.com/alwayscriticpod. And thank you to our patrons, Janet, Curtis, Robin, and Bale. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read all of my drama list synopsis and like who's behind the camera. All right, Mina, this is going to be a long one because this is kind of a big cast.
Yeah.
But feel free to jump in with whatever you've seen the cast in before, or, you know, the directors have done some big things too. So we'll talk about it. All right. My drama list synopsis. Mr. Sunshine centers on a young boy born into a house servant's family who travels to the United States during the 1871 Shinmyeongyo, aka the U.S. expedition to Korea. He returns to his homeland later as a U.S. Marine officer. He meets and falls in love with an aristocrat's daughter. At the same time, he discovers a plot by foreign forces to colonize Korea. For some reason, this gives away nothing at all. Like, it tells like the broad stroke.
Yeah.
But damn, like, yeah, doesn't give anything away. Mr. Sunshine, originally aired from July to September 2018. It is a whopping 24 episodes long, and some episodes are longer than an hour. It has been directed by 2 people. Lee Byung-Hun, he's directed Jiri-san most recently, and Sweet Home, Dokebi, Guardian, the Great and Lonely God, which we covered on the podcast. He's directed Descendants of the Sun, which we also covered on the podcast. So lots more, like Dream High. Dream High is like a running gag now in the show.
Definitely in the same vein as all these other shows.
Yeah, no, it's like Jiri-san, Sweet Home, Guardian, Great and Lonely God, Descendants of the Sun. Then Dream High, like way down from like 2011. Yeah. Like that doesn't fit, but okay. Yeon-Seok. And then it's also co-directed by Jung Ji-hyun, and he's directed 2521, also starring Kim Tae-Ri. He's directed You Are My Spring, The King Eternal Monarch, and Search WWW. So that makes 2 of his dramas that we've reviewed for the podcast, 2521 and Search WWW. Mr. Sunshine was written by the effervescent Kim Eun-seok. She is a major name in the screenwriter circles for K-dramas because she's written The King Eternal Monarch, Guardian, the Great and Lonely God, Descendants of the Sun, The Heirs, Gentleman's Dignity, Secret Garden, and of course now Mr. Sunshine, which we're talking about today. Tons of all-time K-dramas have been penned by Kim Eun-seok. So we're getting to our cast. Let's see if you've seen any of these cast members before and let me know, okay? So Lee Byung-Hun stars as Captain Eugene Choi, and he's done about 36 movies. He's mostly a movies guy, and he's been in movies like The Fortress from 2017, Terminator Genesis from 2015. He was the T-1000 in that.
For real?
For real, I kid you not. He was in Memories of the Sword from 2015, which I vividly remember watching that movie and thinking, this is such an excellent movie. Oh my God, I can't believe this. And I go online to see if people are talking about Memories of the Sword and everyone's saying it's such a shit movie. And I was like, it was a blow. Because I thought it was like really good, and like the acting from Kim Go-eun, because Kim Go-eun of course is in it.
Yeah.
Is just fantastic. And then Lee Jun-ho is also in it from the Red Sleeve. Like people just fawning over Lee Jun-ho. Now in 2015, I was watching Memories of the Sword and I was like, oh my God. Anyway, so he's in that. He's also in Masquerade from 2012. And that's the inspiration for the show The Crown Clown, which we'll be covering next on the podcast. If this is going to be released in order, that's the next show that we cover on the podcast. And of course, Lee Byung-Hun won Best Actor at the Daejeong Film Awards for his role in Masquerade. And lots of other movies, like I Saw the Devil, a couple of G.I. Joe movies, Hero from 2007, Joint Security Area from 2000. Big movies. Iris.
Joint Security Area was a huge movie in Korea. Yeah.
He's got about 26 credits for TV, including, of course, most recently, Our Blues. He did Squid Game, as he was a front man in Squid Game, which we also covered on the podcast. If you want to scroll back in your podcast feed, you can hear all about Squid Game. I first saw Lee Byung-Hun in Iris. Do you remember Iris?
Vaguely, or like I heard about it. I don't think I ever watched it.
Okay,
I'm busy reading. Jess.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, for those who don't know or didn't listen to our Navilera episode where Mina first was introduced to Daebak audience, she runs a bookshelf podcast. Like, it's all about K-pop books and K-media through books. So she's reading all the time, even though you are, like, I assume you're sometimes watching K-drama. But anyway, sometimes. Iris was so huge they did a movie afterward. You know, like that era in K-drama where they would like do a K-drama or even a J-drama and then all of a sudden they do a movie on it. Yeah. That is what happened with Iris. It was amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so he won Best Actor.
I do want to watch Joint Security Area, so that's like on my list.
Perfect.
Joint Security Area.
Okay, yeah, so it is on mine too. I don't think I've seen it, or if I have, I don't remember. So his co-star Kim Tae-Ri plays Go-Shin, and she's been in only 6 movies, but
pause for a second, because her character is Go-Shin. I wanted you to call this episode, I hope that's not a spoiler, just cut it if it is, 3 Men and a Little Egishi.
Egishi? No, that's actually
3 Men
valid.
and a Little Egishi.
That's valid.
Like 3
that's
men
valid.
And a baby.
No. We'll talk. Actually, we will
Egishi.
talk about the name Mr. Sunshine at some point in this episode for sure. That's a valid point. We're leaving it in. Okay, so she's been in 6 movies, including Alienoid, which I did a Patreon review for, Space Sweepers, Little Forest, The Handmaiden, which is a Park Chan-wook movie. She won Best New Actress at the Blue Dragon Film Awards in 2016. Big deal. Of course, everyone knows her from 2521, from 2022, and she won Best Actress and Most Popular Actress at the Baeksan Arts Awards. So proud that she actually did that, because it's a big deal and she deserved it. We're going to go really fast.
Did you watch The Handmaiden?
No. So look, I've said this a couple of times on the podcast. I'm scared of watching The Handmaiden.
Why?
So this is a genre. It's
Can I just say,
subgenre.
She's so naked.
Yes.
Sorry, I had to get that out of my system. She's super naked.
It's a psychosexual lesbian thriller, and it's a period piece.
Right.
And that combination, that like sub-genre, complete, like I avoid it because it scares me shitless. Like I like cannot deal with it.
She's so good in it, and I don't not saying you should watch it, but it's just generally if you're not scared of it, you should watch it because she's excellent. Yeah.
People don't remember that she's in that.
Completely naked.
She's naked. Sorry. It's a psychosexual lesbian thriller.
Yeah.
It's serious.
And Park Chan-wook directed Old Boy.
Yes.
So like, if you watch Old Boy, you can watch this, and you can I know. Like, you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying, and it is spooky season, or this episode will air around spooky season, October. And I hope one day that I will bring myself to watch The Handmaiden, because it's not like I don't want to watch it. I'm just afraid to watch it. I think it's one of those where I'll just sit there afterward and just feel changed, feel different.
His emphasis being psycho thriller, it's not like jump scares.
No,
it's psychologically.
That's why I said
manipulation and all that stuff. Yeah,
I'm telling you, I got a handle on it, and I'm scared to go in that room. Okay, so We're bringing up the rear. Yoo Yeon-Seok plays Gudong-mei, and he has been in a few movies like Royal Tailor, Beauty Inside, Hwai a Monster Boy, Werewolf Boy. He's a villain in Werewolf Boy, one of my favorite K movies of all time. Architecture 101, which was a big thing when it came out too. And then, of course, he was most recently in Narco Saints from Netflix. This is going into his TV work. And I think everyone knows him from either Reply 1994 or Hospital Playlist 1 and 2, which we've covered Hospital Playlist 1 on the podcast if you want to scroll back in your podcast feed and listen to that. Lastly, we have Kim Min-jung as Hina Kudo. You might have seen her most recently in The Devil Judge from 2021. And we have Byun Yo-han as Kim Wi-sung. And you might have seen him before in Misang Incomplete Life from 2014.
Did you watch Misang?
No, I didn't. No.
I did, and I thought he's kind of similar to the character he plays here, but really love him. Okay. I really love him, even though he's like obnoxious, in his characters.
Okay.
But I liked it. Yeah, I liked him.
All right. We're on the other side of this.
Maybe that's just my type. Never mind.
Anyway. Oh my God, Mina! Oh man, this post-hurricane, man. I'm in a mood. All right. Mina, what did you think of Mr. Sunshine?
I thought, honestly, so it was definitely quite long at times, dragging at times, and I'm trying not to give too many spoilers, but, it is about, like, pre-colonial Korea, pre-Japanese colonization of Korea, but Japan's, like, kind of already there, and I found it very strange how there is, like, of course, if you saw Guardian, if you saw the other works that the writers have done, the directors have done, you'd know that there's going to be a romance, so they're like, revolution, and then they're like, romance, and then they're like, revolution, and they're like, romance, and I'm like, what is happening? And I felt like it wasn't very seamless, or like it didn't make sense because it would be like revolutionary, like guerrilla warfare for like a while, and then it'd be like, we're in love. It's just like, but aside from that, it's visually stunning. These people are acting their pants off, and there's so many layers and topics that we were discussing before we started recording about like different topics about Korean society at the time and Korean history. So it's worth watching, but there was definitely some kind of flaws, I think. What did you think?
Okay, so I will first tell you why I avoided Mr. Sunshine for years because this came out in 2018 and I remember it popping up. I vividly remember it popping up on Netflix and going, oh, wow, it's like a period piece and it's like, it looks turn of the century, but then they have this girl still in hanbok and like, what's the deal? Like, I don't really get the time period. And then I saw the way that the promo shots were framing them, Lee Byung-Hun and Kim Tae-Ri, and I was like, oh, is this supposed to be like a romance? And then what I saw was age gap. I saw pure age gap, and I was like, that looks like a giant age gap. And I have said this before, I'm not a big fan of like chasm age gaps in my entertainment and in my K-dramas, so I avoided it. I was like, I wasn't like getting the vibe of it, and then I wasn't a fan of the age gap, so I avoided it like the plague. To be fair to myself, from 2018, Lee Byung-Hun was 48 years old when he started the show. Yes.
Stop. For real?
He was born in 1970. 100%. 48 years old. Kim Tae-Ri was 28 years old. That is a 20-year age gap. So I was reading the tea leaves right on that one.
But I was like, maybe the bar is low for me, but I was like, at least she's not like 20 or like 19 or, how they sometimes do that in K-drama. I was like, oh, good. Like, yeah, it's the big age gap, but.
Well, this writer and one of the directors, of course, had a classic age gap romance with the Goblin. That was
classic, 400 years.
400 years in the context of the show. And then I think it was another like, not 20. I think it was either 20 or a little less than 20 years between Kim Go-eun and Gong-yu. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But anyway, they love it, evidently, because it's here. Goblin was 2016. Mr. Sunshine is 2018. So 2 years later, they're back
Part of me thinks this is like a side note about the writer, but I feel like maybe they are kind of ascribing to like some purity concept of like these virginal, youthful, untouched, like sheltered, ladies, and then these like kind of manly men, right? Because you're really manly by the time you're like 48 for sure, or 450 or however old it was.
You are bringing up some valid points here, Mina, already. So just to get my thoughts out of the way, I found that this show was really difficult to get into for me. I was not hooked right away. I didn't find this was binge worthy at all. I sometimes thought that the length of the episodes was really a hindrance for me, which I've said so many times on the podcast. I am a strict hour-long person.
Yeah.
So when I started the show, I was very hesitant to like it. And again, I kind of grasped the time period very quickly. Episode 1 was very assaulting on the senses and very difficult to understand like who is who, because they introduced like 50 people in one episode.
So many people.
Yeah. And the conflict at large, like the political conflict and the issues that are going on in Korea at the time. But I felt that that was a lot to take in as like and I have seen like sagas, I've seen a ton of K-dramas, and I'm still like, who the hell am I looking at here? Like, how are these people related? I was getting very confused. So I had to write down everything, and now I delete it because I know what's going on. Mm-hmm. But from the first episode and me to the last episode, night and day difference. I thought this show was a masterpiece. I thought this show was well worth at least one watch from K-drama watchers. I didn't really consider it a K-drama at the end of the day. I felt like this was prestige television that I was watching. This could have easily been shown on like Apple TV, like Pachinko was here in the States, or it could have been shown on like HBO or something like this, like a special, a show. It was absolutely riveting towards the end. The endgame episodes, which lasted not 1 or 2 episodes, it was something like 6 episodes that felt like the third act of the show was endgame. And those were amazing. Best part of the show.
I agree with that.
So a lot of stuff happening.
A lot of payoff.
Exactly. That was the word that I had in my head too. A lot of it was payoff. And I really appreciate that in the writing. I thought the writing knew that they were planting Easter eggs, knew that they were planting Chekhov's guns left and right, lines and scenes and cinematography and iconography that was repeated at the end of the show that felt like closure, felt like, oh my God, this was what I was waiting for. This was why I wanted to watch this show. I think a lot of the political stuff was still very dense. And we can try and get into it and parse some of it out, especially some of the nuances of the culture back then, which you did some research on. I'm really excited to get into it. But honestly, it is a Shakespearean tragedy. So a lot of people, I think, in the K-drama community will not watch a K-drama if it has a sad ending. I'm sorry to say, right out the gate, Mr. Sunshine has only violence, only bloodshed, only sad things for you. And in fact, they warn you early on in the show, there is no hope that these characters are going to make it to the end unscathed, happy, alive, all of these things. They're constantly like defining a
Korean
sad
history.
Ending. And that's
it was already a spoiler from the jump.
That is the other thing, is that history is not on their side. And if you know anything remotely about what happens to Korea and the amount of times that they were invaded and, what happens in Pachinko is a great kind of teaser for what it leads up to the events in Pachinko, I guess I should say, and how it informs identity going forward and further generations down the line. And just tensions between Korea and Japan, Korea and China, Korea and the US, all these things really, I don't want to say it was well done, but I guess it was at least interesting to watch, especially in the latter episodes.
I have a thought, but maybe I'll save it for after spoilers.
Oh, yeah? Okay. All right.
After spoilers.
Like you said, cinematography, 110% amazing. So much budget went into this. So many unbelievable...
The details, the costumes, the styling, the makeup, the scenery.
Giant set pieces.
Architectural structures, The trolley.
The trolley. So many extras. Just in a scene. When I say extras, I mean like literal people in a scene. It's explosives, fire, pyro, stunts, gunfire, warships, slow motion action, which requires another like set of cinematography skills, flags waving around, a lot of stuff burning to the ground.
Underwater filming.
Yes, underwater filming. So much money went into this and you feel it. It's just dripping with Hollywood type budget. Yeah.
That's why I agree with you when you say it's like prestige watching.
Yes.
But I just like you in the beginning, I was like struggling to get into it and to like feel invested in them for like a while. And I don't think for me it was the age gap. It was just like because we're so doomed from the jump. I think I was like, I can't.
There was a sense of just doom over the whole show, over every character. You just, I mean, I don't know how someone can go through this and be like, I'm waiting for that episode 15. Like they wrap everything else and then 16, we get a wedding, we get this, we get XYZ. No. Yeah. No.
Listen, they had a beach scene. What else do you want from them?
Yes, exactly. They went to the beach, damn it. We had a piggyback
so many times.
Yeah.
Which wasn't ezy in like the 1800s.
They literally.
How are you getting to the beach from Seoul?
They were on a horseback for days, I think they said. I was like, we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about how you spent days riding to the beach.
And multiple couples went to the beach, and one couple did not have a horse.
No, so. One couple, okay, we'll talk about it.
That's just piggyback all the way.
No, yeah, they're just going to hoof it. Anyway, great sense of iconography, and the age gap was a kind of a deal breaker. But I will say that towards the end, I was invested in them for sure. We're talking about Lee Byung-Hun and Kim Tae-Ri's characters. They obviously have, I don't want to say a star-crossed lovers relationship, but I guess it was a star-crossed lovers relationship. Yeah, it was just like everything was under duress.
In the gut. And
it just
straight to
is a sucker punch throughout the whole show. Did you buy them as a couple?
Actually, I don't know. I kept thinking that. I was like, wait, why do they like each other? Like, I almost didn't get it. But then it did, like, something about it did make sense along the way. It was a bit of a slow burn for me, at least, where I didn't understand initially why either of them cared about the other one. Yeah. But then I was like, oh, okay. Like, I do think they had some chemistry or something that seemed magnetic amongst them. And maybe it's just their stellar acting, that they're just such good actors. But they did have definitely, I mean, she's so good in everything.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So
I agree with you. I think there's something that wasn't written there on the page that they somehow made work on screen. And that's
so well said.
That's all I can account for
extremely
what their
accurate.
Romance is, because there was
bullseye.
There was not anything there. Like they had certain crazy high intensity moments between them. But as far as like, why do you like each other? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
They just kind of gravitate towards each other like two sides of a magnet. And that's all there is to it.
That was very believable.
Yeah. What did you think of their secondary leads? And she has a couple.
I know, a couple. She's, yeah. Well, because if you think about like the character of Hina.
Yeah.
Is that her name? Hina. And I feel like she also was like something, like obviously, like she's like not romantic, but like a sidekick or something. Like I would count her with the like, you know, the samurai, the, like, can I say this? Like, fiance.
The fiance. You could say
that.
Yeah,
Hee-sung.
Whatever.
Okay. Hee-sung, and then Eugene, and then you have the three men, the little Eigishi, I was talking about. And then you have Hina, and then you also have her very faithful enslaved people, which is slightly romanticized, I feel like, but yeah, they're her servants, and all of that was like her orbit of people, like the gunner and all that. Those were her orbit, and she had so many good folks around her, and she was the pull and the draw of all these people in a way, maybe less so for Hina, but somewhat. And it was very, like I said, believable. Like it just seemed like you could sense why there's so much like loyalty towards her, why is there so much interest in her, why is everyone like rallying around her all the time? It was because sometimes you watch a drama where something's like that's supposed to be happening, and you're just like, why can't you not like ditch that person, or like why are you still hung up on that person? But for Kim Tae-Ri's acting or portrayal of it was so just overall, you know, magnetic.
Yeah, she was a great rally point for everybody, and you kind of innately understood why everyone was trying to save her and make her survive and like have her endure and all this stuff, while everyone else was kind of like, it just is not the word, expendable, I guess I should say. Not disposable, expendable.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Lord. So a lot of stuff happening with the themes and the topics that we want to cover, and we can introduce some of them now. I did want to touch really fast because you mentioned Hina, that character. There are really strong female characters in this show, and I admire that about it. I love how they're kicking ass and taking names. I love how they're integral parts of the plot and how they are not passive at all. They're not passive observers.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad the actress who played Hina didn't get any kind of award for this, as far as I know.
I'm confused
for this role, and she was, oh my god, she was amazing.
Yeah. What happened? What happened to Kim Min Jung?
I don't know.
I don't know why she's not a bigger name either. Because I was looking at the stuff that she had done, and I was like, where did Homegirl go?
Not that much.
Not that
compared
much.
to, right.
Yeah.
No.
I'm confused about that too.
She was perfect in that role.
She was perfect, fabulous. The wardrobe they put on her, the turn of the century gowns, stunning.
She was serving in those outfits. Like, oh my god, amazing. She looks so good. And it was interesting because she was wearing kimono, because she was like a Japanese national. She was wearing, like, maybe not hanbok exactly, but or sometimes maybe she was wearing Western clothes of the time, so like late 1800s, early 1900s, almost like 1910s, like bustling behind her and stuff like that, and like kind of waistcoats, or what do they call those little coats? And she just looked so good. Little fascinator hats. And I don't know, sometimes people who are not from a culture or a time frame wearing those things look a little awkward. They look a little cosplay through no fault of their own. But she was wearing these clothes. Okay,
the clothes were not wearing her. Them. She was wearing the clothes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And it looks so good.
Oh,
and then her acting, of course, and then her athleticism and her little looks and little glances, just her little nose scrunch.
Yeah.
Give that an award.
The nose scrunch? Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that. I don't have that in my notes. That was so amazing. Cute. She really brought something to the show that was necessarily missing. I think that you needed another rallying point besides Kim Tae-Ri's character. And she is so charismatic and kind of easy to root for in certain moments. A lot of the characters are not 100% good. A lot of the characters have shades of gray, are not good, not bad, just kind of going with the flow, changing allegiances throughout the show. And not necessarily an emphasis on someone who's straight evil for evil's sake. Like, people have reasons for doing things. Even the traitors in the show have reasons for doing what they're doing. So
the backstories were so rich, so rich. For the major characters, right? And some of them some people might have backstories. Like, I was like, what's the translator's deal? Like, Eugene's little personal translator guy. Like, what's his story? Or like, like some of the people I wanted more information on, or like the woman who takes the ferry over to the other side, to the other mountain. She's an archer. Like, what was her deal? Or like, there's so many more characters that they were so interesting. I don't know what other word to use for interesting, but it made compelling. It was like, what else is going on there? And the fact that you did know some people's backstories to a great amount of detail, it was really like, oh my god, there's so much more, like layers upon layers upon layers.
Yeah, it's like an onion. This show's like an onion, truly. And so I did want to oh my god, I'm getting tongue-tied. I wanted to give attention to the female empowerment kind of side of it, and I think we need to segue into just identity and Koreanness as another theme throughout the show, because there are so many characters who are grappling with being Korean American or Korean Japanese or Japanese Korean, like whatever the case is. They are not just one thing. And they have so much trauma in their backstory that they feel like they need to abandon their home country, home culture, and adopt another way of life, or risk just dying like in Korea.
Right. The self-preservation, the survivalship, that the reasons behind some of their stuff was so, again, compelling. And also it was definitely struck a nerve, I think, of like, I don't know, like, how do you survive all this stuff, especially for Hina, I think, because she was a woman on top of all of it, right? Like, she also has all these identity issues and, trauma and everything going on with her, I should say.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about their individual traumas later in the spoiler section. But I feel like the patriotism in the show was kind of like, if it was a graph, it was like kind of low at the beginning, and kind of low is saying something because the show is all about patriotism in a way. And then towards the later episodes, it just skyrockets. It's just an exponential growth towards the end. And you feel, I mean, by the end, I was like, man, fuck Japan. Like, not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. I was like, man,
okay, but the dichotomy. Totally. Okay. So, well, not totally. Okay. The dichotomy.
No, you know what I mean? Like,
please let me to Japan again. I want to visit Japan again. Please don't. Okay. No, but what I wanted to say though about this was the dichotomy between this intense amount of patriotism, nationalism. The whole show overall was very nationalistic towards Korea, which obviously makes sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's this sense of like these unjust Japanese powers, or sometimes American powers, or sometimes like whoever, Russia and Chinese, and everybody was all up in Korea's grill, I guess. But what was interesting was like this dichotomy of this patriotism, nationalism, and the fact that some people don't have that, right? Like someone's country could quote unquote betray them, and you kind of belong and you don't belong at the same time. That was like, I think, a running theme for multiple characters. Yes. Of course, the main one being Eugene, but multiple characters where it's like you belong, you don't belong. And then going back to survivorship and trying to assimilate sort of was like the fact that so many characters are trilingual, bilingual. You know, again, like with Hina wearing she can fit into anything like a glove, like as far as like identity. I'm not even talking about the clothes in this point, but when she's she's speaking French, she's speaking English, she's speaking Japanese, she's speaking Korean, like she just had it going on like in all different ways because she had to. And it was very interesting because even though it was so nationalistic and patriotic and all this stuff and really trying to stir up feelings for like, you know, Korea as a liberated country, it also had these moments where it's like, actually, some people are not that like thrilled about Korea. You know, some people are like, you know, Korea sucks. So because of the stuff that they were going through and what justice or injustices they experienced.
Right. It's interesting to see Korea portrayed in such a positive light as far as like nationalistic pride is soaring throughout the show. But then you also see the absolute chaos behind the scenes of what, like, people are actively selling the country out. And people who should be on the countryside are on the country's payroll, are selling the country out. People who are trampled on and lowborn, are low in society, are the ones who are rising up and rebelling against Korea. So it's like a reckoning
Korea or Japan? Of
their own making, you know?
Yeah.
They've sown that seed.
Do you mean rebelling against Korea or rebelling against Japan? Or both?
No, rebelling against Korea. Because I totally mean to say, like, some characters, again, like trauma, have been just treated so poorly by those in higher power in Korea that when they gain some semblance of power throughout the show, they come back with a vengeance. It's like karma for Korea as a whole. To have their own citizens try and break it apart. You know, which is very intense.
There's like some characters who's like, well, Korea's screwed anyway, so like what's the point?
Might
of
as well be me
that
profits off of it. Yeah. I think that, wow, we could talk a lot about identity, Koreanness, patriotism, and all that too. But I think we touched on one of the last themes, which is classism and the slave economy and the discrimination and prejudice against lowborns throughout the show, and how that affects the characters and how they have to work through that throughout the show.
Right. They have to live within that like realm of the hierarchies.
A lot of characters come back to Korea with a lot of prestige or a lot of power, especially Eugene. And once they start talking about their history, where they came from, what their family is, they're looked down upon. Eugene is looked down upon because he comes from the slave class. And it is so deep rooted, the classism over there, or the caste system, however you want to put it. It is unbelievable to me how some characters have experienced so much goodness and benefited from these characters that come from low origins. And I put that obviously in quotation mark, low origins. And then as soon as they find out someone is not who they thought they were, they're like, oh my God, I have to rethink my entire like perception of you.
I have to say this aspect made me feel like this show is also very pro-American in a way because Eugene was the one who had upward mobility out of everybody, who actually achieved it, you know, more than Hina really, or more than Gu Dongmei, he's the one who like achieves it. And it's because he moved to America and he rises up the US military and becomes a Marine. And so he is like a top up there officer, part of the American legation when he gets to Seoul or Hansong, or I think is what they
Hansong was
then.
the name of Seoul before it was Seoul.
Yeah. Correct. So in Hansong, he's like, and it's so funny how he kind of teeters between like, I know Korean, I speak Korean, but I'm not a Chosun saram. Like I'm not Korean, but he's like, I'm American. Like he just keeps like going back and forth because it's not like really black and white or like this side or that side for him. I mean, just go back to identity for a second, which I know we were moving past, but for him, it's, it was like a little bit passive, but he himself can never forget his quote unquote lowborn status that he originally had. That's like part of his like motivation for a lot of things.
Part of the chip on his shoulder.
Drama. Exactly. And then at the same time, he commands all this power and he walks around looking all good and stuff in his suit. And everyone's like, oh my God, who's that? And even just from looking at him when they're like, that guy looks Korean, but everyone can tell like that is not a Korean guy. Right. Like he is a foreigner. He's not Korean. He looks Korean. That foreigner looks so Korean.
His mentality
right?
is completely changed when he comes back to Korea because he doesn't back down. He's got like the American like spirit about him, which is weird to everybody in the show because they're like, you look and sound Korean, but you are not Korean because you would not have talked to me that way if you were Korean. And
I would argue too, he does that even with Japanese soldiers and stuff because they don't go into how much or time he spent in Japan or like why he's so fluent in Japanese. I don't think they did unless I missed it. No. But he also has the same kind of like, you know, he's just American. That's very to me American. Like you just have this like swag, vibe, bravado. When you're talking in Japanese, whether you're addressing Japanese people, addressing Korean people, he's just like kind of similarly like
what are you going to do to me? Exactly. Like I'm American. You cannot touch me. That is the attitude that he has throughout the show. And it really irks a lot of characters and they call him out on it. They're like, well, you must be American. Which is kind of funny to watch it.
Stereotypical, entitled.
Yes, to watch the entitlement on screen from Lee Byung-Hun, who...
He's doing great.
He's nailing it. Like, as an American, I'm like, yeah, man, that's it. You got it.
You know what I noticed is like he would smile so broadly and so toothy as soon as he encountered other American soldiers. He's like, hey, like to everyone. And I was like, that's so American. It was like mildly embarrassing. I felt a little called out. Like, is that how I run around the world? Like, just like, you know.
Bro, do I just smile at everybody? I don't know. Well, I'm from Miami. It's different. We might not smile at everybody. We're kind of mean, but it's okay. Yeah, I really like that.
You know, like that whole like effervescence, that stereotypical effervescence. Because, you know, I lived for many years in New York and they're not smiling at everybody either. But just like that aspect of it was so American.
There's so much bravado coming from him at times. And I feel attacked. I feel a certain type of way seeing it on screen portrayed by Lee Byung-Hun. But it's great. I do think that the Americanness of the show is something that was taking me aback as well. And how they perceived America. I don't think anyone here, us two, are under any delusions. Like, America sucks, and it's also very great. Like, in equal measure. And our history is just as terrible as everybody else's country. And at one point, like, I can't remember which character says this, like, you also believe in imperialism because of Puerto Rico, Guam, the Philippines, like, it names all of these territories.
Well, and even Korea, we still to this day have huge military bases in Korea. So, well, I mean, effectively, like, did we colonize it? Maybe not, but we are there.
No, we're definitely there for the war. It's still ongoing. But anyway, because they need it, evidently. But... Oh, man.
But not every Korean person's thrilled about that, even to this day. You know what I mean?
I totally get that. We have a foothold in so many different places that I don't think Americans even realize. And it is like that imperialism that I think it was a Japanese colonel that was talking about it. He was like, I am no different than you are. Like, we're here to do the same thing, essentially, that you did in all these other places. Yeah. Which is crazy. Like, to me, it's like, you know, pot calling the kettle black, you know? No one is good in this show. Everyone is all kinds of shades of gray. Anyway, I feel like we ventured a little bit into spoiler territory, so I think we can break for spoilers. What would you give this show out of 5 soju bottles?
Okay, it's hard because it was so beautiful and stunning, but then sometimes I like wasn't feeling it, and then sometimes I wasn't feeling like I was so engrossed in like the political aspects I didn't care about the romantic aspects. Yeah. Sometimes I was like, wait, what happened to the romance, or whatever. So I would say 3 out of 5 sojus because of that. Okay. but like you said, like everything you said still stands. Like definitely worth watching.
Yeah. So. When the show ended, I was like, oh my God, I was riding a high, right? This is a 5 out of 5 show. Oh my God, it's so good. Now I'm sitting here talking about it and I'm kind of like taking a step back. I feel like it's probably a 4 out of 5 show, 4 out of 5 soju bottles for me. Because again, so many positives, great production, amazing, stunning production. But is it my favorite story? Did I have a full grasp of everything that was going on? I feel like I was playing 20 chess games at the same time instead of one chess game. That's what it felt like to follow this plot. Well, I was like, oh, I was here. We're here. Oh, this is the romance chess board. Oh, this is the secondary romance chess board. Like, oh, we're doing like all these things. And that is a little bit frustrating at the end of the day because what did you like about the show? Was it everything? Was it just a couple of chess boards? Was it all the chess boards? So I feel like it's a 4 out of 5.
I think if you watch it one more time, because this was my second viewing, you may like adjust a little bit or at least have a better focus on like what you did or didn't like about it. Because it was a lot to take in at once. It's so like hyper stimulating because you're like, what is happening? And then the second time you watch, you're like, oh yeah, like now I get it. And like for me at least, it made a lot more sense the second time.
I bet. All right, we're going to get into spoilers right after this.
Excuse me, 뭐라고?
괜찮아.
Yeah, no, I have no 친구. Oh, sorry.
Swear, disgusting shit.
What?
Okay, we're on the other side of spoilers. We're going to spoil the shit out of Mr. Sunshine right now, and everything is on the table. All the chessboards are available to us to talk about. So, Mina, I think you wanted to start with the historical aspect of the show and go into some of your research.
Yeah, because I think this is going to help ground us a little bit, both in our discussion for the people who watched it but don't remember, or watched it and don't really know what they all watched. So disclaimer that I'm not like an expert in Korean history or like a Korean studies professor or something, but I did read a few things. One of the main things I read was this book called Korea History by Eugene Y. Park. That's where most of my information is from. And then I'll also send you some links that you can post for other articles and stuff if you guys are interested. So first, what I wanted to talk about was just the class system we were talking about earlier. So the aristocracy of the Chosun era, I should say, was called the Yangban. So aristocracy was Yangban. So that's like Lady Aishin. You became Yangban through your family lineage. So if your ancestors were Yangban, you inherited that title. You were Yangban as well. However, if a Yangban produced a child with an enslaved person, this child would inherit the enslaved parent's status. So they could not ever be Yangban aristocracy. Those of us growing up in the United States or learned U.S. history, it's a little bit similar to, in that sense of it at least, it's similar to U.S. Slavery.
Right.
So Yangban mainly were landowners, and that land was farmed for food and was worked by the enslaved people. And a lot of Yangban were government officials or scholars of Confucianism, which is what we saw Lady Aishin's grandfather. I believe he was like making her study Confucius and Confucianism. Below Yangban were the Chungin class, and I could be mispronouncing all this, so sorry, but they were kind of in between Yangban and commoners. And a lot of Chungin, I should say, a lot of Chungin were lower level military officers or other government office workers, so including those interpreters who work for the government, such as the ones we saw translating for the king on the show, I believe would be considered Chungin. And below Chungin were commoners. Yeah, so commoners were often handicrafters and merchants. So the baker, the potter, the metalsmith characters in the show would probably be considered commoners. So then at the very bottom of this social hierarchy, we have the so-called lowborn, most of which were enslaved people, or as they're called in Korean, the nobi. And nobi could be purchased or inherited through a Yangban's family. But unlike slavery here in the US, nobi were ethnically Korean. So they didn't have those like racial and ethnic differences, as you might have guessed from watching the show, that enslaved people in the US had. So it was not uncommon for it was not uncommon for Nobi to run away and then just get wage paying jobs, or just try and make a living in other ways. And there were slave catchers who would have to go find them, paid for by the Yangban.
Right.
And I'm not going to get into like the details of like how slavery in Korea sort of ended. It took some time. It was a bit gradual. It wasn't like any emancipation like we had here in the US. But it basically, what it boiled down to is a lot of like money stuff, as with everything, you know, having Nobi was costly. Having to pay catchers for them was also very costly. And after a while, it was just like, you know what, we may as well just hire wage workers to work our land.
Right.
So that was one thing I wanted to mention.
Yeah, it seems like in the show, it is on the, I guess it's taking place just after this sort of grand emancipation of slaves in Korea. And now those slave hunters and people that work for the Yangbans are able to leave, able to work for a wage for the same family or what have you. Yeah. But
yeah, because in 1894, I believe, is when they formally abolished the slave
and then
system,
a lot of
but it's still
a lot of characters were referencing like it's a new world. You know, there is no more Yangban and Nobi or
but there kind of still was, and especially through like, for example, the butcher discrimination. So the Gu Dongmei was a butcher's son, and we see in the beginning of the show when it's still like the late 1800s when Nobi were still a thing, the butchers are treated so badly, so poorly, really looked down upon, and that really continued into Japanese occupation, so into like the 30s, 1930s, 1920s, and 30s. So that continued, and one kind of notable thing about Nobi who were more or less emancipated to a certain extent, because it was like same with America too, like people who were emancipated, but then you still had people who were working on farms still and working as laborers still with really reduced wages. But in Korea, one thing I noticed that was interesting, different from the US, I think, was that they had this sort of freedom to kind of adopt a new identity. So a lot of people who became emancipated or left the Nobi system, adopted surnames of aristocratic masters.
Heard this.
So like Kim, Lee, Park.
That's why
these
everybody
are royal,
has like
noble
the same
families.
last names.
Yeah.
And they wanted to be associated with the Yangbangs, these great noble families. And so they'd just be like, oh yeah, I'm a Choi. Oh yeah, I'm a Lee.
Yeah.
And they just, during this time period, there was a lot of like people just taking last names for the first time because people didn't have last names. Only the Yangbangs had last names. It's crazy.
Right. And then one other thing I want to mention kind of related to women and like Lady Aishin's situation was that during Chosun era, they were really into Neo-Confucianism and this like whole, because they didn't have this as much in the Koryo or Shilla dynasties or in this exact way, where women suddenly had to, especially if you're a noble woman like Lady Aishin, you had to be, first of all, you had to be married so that you had to have a son so you could carry on your name, your lineage, your inheritance, your Yangban status. And if you didn't have a son, like for example, Lady Aishin's grandfather didn't have one because she was refusing to get married and her aunt never had any sons. So you could adopt your brother's son or a son of a cousin on your father's side and make them an heir, but illegitimate sons could not be heirs. And because of Neo-Confucianism, daughters just could not have property rights or inheritance rights as women. But they did have to cover their faces. So you see Lady Aishin traveling in her little palanquin. I don't know how to pronounce that properly. That little like,
I say palanquin, and then but I could be wrong.
Palanquin, right. Yeah. And then that like head covering, it looks like a skirt, looks like the skirt of a hanbok. It's called the sugechima, which I might have pronounced wrong. Suchima skirt in Korean. It's like a skirt, but it's formatted, meaning they cut it a little bit shorter and stuff. So it's really as like a headdress, if you will. Yeah. And it looks a little like a head covering. And so especially if you're a noble woman, you cannot be seen by men. And then also the top knot worn by men in the Chosun era in the beginning, until they like move into this Western modernization, it had to do with Confucian filial piety. Yes. So you were prohibited from tampering with your body because you got that body from your parents. Right. You need to like preserve it.
It's to honor your parents, and your parents gave you your hair and all this stuff, so you can't cut it. And that becomes a major kind of player later in the show when she gets her hair chopped off.
And also when she gets her hair chopped off, and also the fact that as the Korea's modernizing, right, they're starting to, so the king, which we see in the show, King Kojong, he was someone who's trying to really cooperate with the West, make Korea more modern. He introduced electricity, which you see that sort of in the show. Yeah. He, as you see, like he's starts to adopt kind of, instead of his royal robes, he's wearing like Western clothes after some point. Yeah. A lot of the guys start chopping off their top knots intentionally because they're sort of moving this direction. Some people really displeased pleased with King Kojong's trying to like, you know, make treaties with like different countries, especially like Germany, England, America. He was trying really hard because a lot of those treaties were kind of imbalanced. And so Korea kind of had the underhand.
Yeah.
You know, they had more power. They had more things. The treaties he had with Japan, which I can't remember if he had made them or someone else made them, it was stuff like Japan could export as much rice as they wanted and never paid a tariff, never paid a tax. Right. It sometimes led to things like rice shortages for Koreans. Yeah. And so they're like having to re-import back their own rice that was exported to Japan. Like,
look, that is something
like
that was persisting for decades after this time period, because I think we leave off in the show in like 1907 or 8 or something. And Pachinko takes place decades later. And I mean, they're talking about like rice is only for the Japanese. White rice, look, the commoner people just don't eat rice. They eat barley rice, which is like a poor type of rice. And they're eating that in this show too. They're like eating raw barley rice because they can't freaking create a fire because they'll be found out. So they're eating literally raw barley, flat wheat or rice. And it's insane to see some of these things crop up in another prestige television show like Pachinko, which I keep bringing up Pachinko. It's because we did a deep dive on the podcast on Pachinko. So if you want to listen to that, go scroll back. But honestly, it is very interesting to hear all of the history that you just explained. And I love that you went into the kind of, I think, not upheaval, but like the changes that were happening during this time period and the type of environment that we're in, like the classism, and why is it so like such a thing? It's because that was the thing back then. You know, it's like you're doing a Civil War movie. You're going to talk about like the North versus South. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like that's the thing of
well,
it.
It brings me to that point of Eugene having this upward mobility that until the, like I said, even though they were like emancipated, it was like banned, I should say. It was banned for there to be Nobi anymore. It wasn't like instantaneously like, we're all free. Like you had to like figure out what you're going to do. What's your new hustle? And like, and some people stayed because it's like, well, this is familiar and this is what I know. So why should I leave? And like,
or you had a good family and they never beat you and they never did anything wrong. So like, they just stayed.
Yeah.
Things like that happened here in America when slavery was ended as well. It was kind of like you have to create a whole new life for yourself. Like, what do you do? So I think it's very believable that Lady Aishin still has like her maids and her servants around her, and they just are super loyal to her because they evidently worked for a very good family and he treated them well, and he, you know, did really good things toward the end of the show, which were groundbreaking. He was giving them property, literally just giving them his property based on like seniority, essentially. If you worked for me for 30 years, you could have more property, more of my property. If you worked for me for 20 years, you get this plot of land. Like, it was very interesting to see how he ended up kind of righting the wrongs of his class by just being good to his servants.
Well, this idea of like almost reparations comes up a lot because at first, like I was saying in the beginning, I feel like the servants' attitudes and like their just kind of like literal bowing and scraping to Lady Aishin was a little irksome to me because I was like, what is this? Like, this is so annoying. But then Eugene basically calls her out as like, hey, just like I was Nobi, like when he finally confesses that he was one, when he was originally quote unquote lowborn. And he's like, you know, your servants, your homegirl and your homeboy, those people's names I forgot, but they can't do the things that I couldn't do when I was Nobi. You know, they are, and then she's having this like realization moment. I think in Hee-sung, her fiance, when he is like realizing like, oh my God, my family screwed over Eugene's family, killed his parents, and he's starting to like try and make, also I think very much feel like reparations. Like he finds the guy who got beat because his watch was broken, and he's like, you know, doing all these things. And so these people are having these nobility people are having these enlightenment moments, which like I said, that's like one part of the payoff thing where you're like, like you want to see that. But it's also like so interesting that they are showing this because it's even as nationalistic as it's like, hey, we were having our own problems too. Like we weren't perfect before the Japanese showed up and then they ruined everything. And now, you know, like it wasn't like that, which is I think the narrative some dramas maybe show or some depictions of stuff show. But
right.
Yeah.
I think I really, oh, go for it.
No, I was just going to finish by saying like this, the fact that people were having these epiphanies in the show, the characters of like, oh my gosh, like I contributed to this terrible system of oppression and we're trying to free and liberate Korea, but like we have oppression in Korea anyway, you know, for whole classes of people was definitely like part of that payoff. Like,
Yeah, I love when he confronts her and finally says what his origins are, and she's stunned into silence. And he basically challenges her, and he says, "Who are you fucking fighting for? Like, is it for everybody or is it just for the Yangban? Are you trying to free Korea from all of these Western influences and from Japan, the all terrible Japan, for just your class? Or is it for everyone? Is it for the butchers? Is it for me? Is it for the slaves? You know, what is this new world that you're trying to create? Is it just to benefit you?" And I love how in episode like 10 or 11, she says, "My world came crumbling down." What a thing to say. She just never considered his origins. She says, "I just assumed."
Before that,
she says, "I just assumed you were a Yangban, like a nobleman."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But before that, it was Dongmei as a child, right? Who like wakes her up a little bit in the palanquin, right? Because he is like escaping his butcher situation, and she sees him all like kind of looking blood streaked and
she says to him, "No questions asked."
Like, "Get in my." Yeah, and then once he gets in, he's like, "You're just a fool, a rich fool who like lives in comfort, and what the hell do you know?" Like that was like her first taste of like reality bites, like, you know, like, oh my gosh, just slapped with this truth bomb. And so that kind of, she says later, like that stayed with, like that haunted me my whole life. Like, that's one of the last things she says to him, and he's like, "Well, good."
Yeah, well, good.
And then
I don't think he meant it as like, "Okay, good, I changed your worldview," but I think he meant it also as, "Good, you thought of me," because he was in love with her. Right.
He meant it as like, "You remember me." Like, it was weird.
Yeah,
it was kind of
weird.
silly, but it kind of did have like it had multiple purposes in the end, I guess, for her as like her character development. Like, she had that first taste of it, and then she had Eugene, you know, telling her stuff, and I think even meeting Hina, Kudo, I have to say her whole name, Hina Kudo, and she didn't know all of maybe Hina's like baggage, but I like she knew like, okay, like you're hustling, you're out here, you have like a story, and she's realizing, wait, I've been couched in like luxury my whole life, and I whine every single day about it, you know?
Yeah, she's bitching for nothing. And not that she's bitching the whole show, it's just like little things here and there, but you're like, shut up. Like, everyone at some point says to Eshin in so many words, like, shut up, you're a nobleman, and like, you live a great life.
Yeah.
And
just so many people were like, "Don't do this. Just go back to your like little."
Yeah. People were like, "Don't get involved. It's very serious. It's so dangerous. Just go back to your cushy life." And she's always like, "No, I don't want to," and continues on her merry suicidal way. She says at one point, "I thought I was different from other nobles, but I wasn't. The cause I fought for was nothing but ironic," which I was like, damn, that sucks to suck. Because she was fighting, she thought she was fighting for something good. She didn't even know the whole story. She didn't know who was calling the shots in the righteous army or nothing. She was just flying blind. And then she realizes, like, what am I even fighting for? Who am I fighting for? And it like threw her for a loop. It was great.
I do think the backstory of her parents being kind of the first righteous army, or like whatever, that probably wasn't called that then, but like revolutionaries or whatever. And so she was both, I don't know, I couldn't tell what her motivations were. Let me know what you think. But was it like carrying on this mantle of her parents as a whole deal? Or was she just this patriotic for some reason, even though like she had nothing, she wanted for nothing. So like she's fighting for this, like, what, her luxury life? Like I know it's not that, but
I'm
like,
gonna jump in.
At first I was struggling to really, yes, tell me.
I'm going to jump in here because I really feel like it's because she was so educated. Like, her grandfather doted on her and educated her way beyond what a woman should have been educated for during that time period. And then she just has a rebellious spirit about her, I feel. And so she started reading the newspaper. He didn't want her to read the newspaper. He didn't want her to get up to date on current events. He didn't want her to know what's going on in the government. And she was extremely interested in that. And it kind of like lit a fire in her because, you know, when they tell you not to do something, first of all, as a teenager, you're going to want to do it. Even now, I'm kind of like, well, I'll do it anyway. And she definitely had a little bit of that in her, but also she just felt such a moral responsibility, even as a child, saving the butcher son, Dongmei. She thought she knew it was the right thing to do. She had a great moral compass. And
you know,
it's only later that people start like talking about like how her moral compass is not all that pointing north. So, yeah.
Well, that's why I found so ironic was she was so like, you know, on her high horse about like, you know, I'm not like the other nobles. But then she's like, bring my palanquin.
Yeah, no. And then she's like,
she's like, bring that letter to me or whatever. Like she's doing all that like nobility stuff.
She's very haughty.
Weird. Like, yeah, super snobby.
Yeah, snobby, haughty.
And she was even the fact that she was willing to marry Hee-sung to like, I know for her it was a bit hypothetical because he was away for so long. He was very conveniently just like not showing up.
Right.
To marry her. And but she was still, at no point was she like, I'm not marrying that guy until like he showed up in her face and was like, oh crap, I'm not marrying this guy. But until then, she's just like, yeah. Then until she's like, yeah, okay, I'll marry him, whatever. And then like I found that interesting that she didn't fight that earlier, but maybe that's me just splitting hairs and being nitpicky about this.
You're right. I agree with that she seemed to be okay with marrying Hee-sung when she was like 10 years ago, I guess when she was 20 or maybe 19 years old.
Or like, yeah.
She was like 19 and that's when they got engaged and then he like fucked off to Japan.
Why? That I was like, for him, he like, why did he go away and not come back? Because he was so lonely. He had all these like kind of superficial, seem like vacuous relationships in Japan. Was just like smoking, drinking, gambling, reading, like writing, like self-important things, and then like not coming back to Korea. But he was so lonely. Like, I felt his loneliness, and I was like, why didn't you just come here and marry her sooner when you were finished, rather than just like extending your school or whatever he was doing in Japan? Like
again, I think he was also in the same way that she was rebelling. He was rebelling against his own family, which he felt like was such a burden. His family was such a burden on him. Everything they did cost someone else, their livelihood or their lives. And so I feel like he truly felt burdened by the responsibilities of the family and somehow innately knew that everybody in his family was doing something wrong or had wronged others. And I think he was just avoiding, like just deny, avoiding in Japan, having a good time in Japan, trying to fill this void with all this crap that you mentioned, like studying for 10 years and women and just being a romantic. This is what she says to him as well. Kim Tae-Ri's character says to Lee Byung-Hun, like, oh, we're living in the romantic era. So people tell me we're living in the romantic era. And it's very true for Hee-sung's character because he's living a romantic fantasy. You know what I'm saying?
He loves useless things, you know?
Yeah, he loves useless things. He keeps saying that. That's his like catchphrase.
He loves the star and the moons and like whatever he was saying.
The stars and the moons and the flowers and all this shit. Like he's just a hippie. And he comes back finally. And for some reason, he thinks not to talk to his family first. He goes to visit his fiance, whom he's never seen in his life before.
Yeah, but he's like in love. He's smitten. He's ready.
Love at first sight. Because he sees her and he's like, perfect. I need that flower in my life for the rest of my life. And he regrets staying away for so long because she's just so stunning, right? She's beautiful. And
which she is.
She is, no doubt. But I feel you on your nitpicks though. I'm feeling you on like what is this motivation? And like for 10 years, it is not a short amount of time that these people are rebelling in their own ways.
Right.
Yeah.
I have to go back to the acting of the guy who played Hee-sung, like his ability, because he had so much more, like people just thought he was a dummy, which he kind of was, but then he kind of like had more going on if he like put any effort into like rubbing his two brain cells together and forming a thought. He kind of like had like, because when he would, you know, he would greet him and be like, ha ha ha, I am Hee-sung, whatever my name is. And then he could like turn that stuff off and on when he was like trying to strategically help everybody else.
Right.
He was also, the way he was initially smitten by Ishin, he was smitten with Dongmei, smitten with Eugene, and I was like, he just is in love with everybody. Like he is like a romantic. he was ready to be their friends. He's ready to throw down as much as he could. He loved Hina, like he loved everybody, and he's like, this is my crew. And he kind of made them. The interesting thing is he made them the glue, kind of, or he was the glue to make them like a crew, because otherwise, like Hina did have her pull, and then Ishin had her pull, but otherwise, like the real glue, I think, in my opinion anyway, was Hee-sung's character, and I think the acting was so good, where he seemed both like tacky, vacuous, kind of like a playboy who just like you want to dismiss. But then he's like, no, I'm really lonely and I'm really hurt and I have all these like deep emotions that is a little hard for him to like express, pinpoint, and say, but he has them. And the way like his character develops was also, of course, well written, but his acting I thought was, again, this guy just might be my type, and his like, you know, but I liked his whole deal.
Yeah, like he's like this stereotypical pretty boy from a rich family, And in K-drama, like these guys, you end up rooting for them because they're so charming and they have everything going for them. And he, like by all accounts, he should have ended up with Aeshin's character because he's formatted in K-drama land
but he sacrificed her. That's like part of his reparations like thing he was on. He's like, you know what? I'll give that up.
I don't understand. Like, obviously I can understand him giving her up because she didn't love him.
Right.
And he's somehow very honorable and was like, yeah, it's I'm not going to marry someone who doesn't want me. Cool.
Yeah.
But then it also veered into that reparations thing where he was like, well, if she loves Lee Byung-Hun's character, if she loves Eugene, and my family has done everything wrong to Eugene and taken everything from him, like, how am I going to take her from him?
Right. That's
so I feel kind of conflicted about like why he let her go. Because I don't necessarily want it to be a reparations thing. I want him to be just like a good man.
I know at one point he says to Eugene himself when Eugene's like, oh, you did this. Or he said something about like, oh, you let her go or whatever. Like, you're not following her. And he's like, not because of you. He's like, she wants to be a free woman. She wants to live her own life. And I did appreciate that. Like the sentiment at least he expressed to Eugene was definitely out of pettiness. Like, he's like, well, I'm not going to admit that it's for you. Even though I did feel like it was also for him. Or like I did feel like the reparations thing had a component in this. But the fact that he was like, she wants to live her life. And literally no one will let her do that. Like the grandfather won't. Everyone's telling her to put down her gun and like start being a lady. Like he's like, I'm gonna let her do what she wants to do. Like I respected that so much. Maybe I'm giving him too much credit. The bar is low.
Yeah. Look, we could talk about the patriarchy for a second because her life is basically in revolt of the patriarchy. And in episode 16, I think she really does try and go against like hundreds of years of patriarchy when she just refuses to get married at all. Like she tells her G-Pa, I always say G-Pa instead of grandpa. Okay, she tells her G-Pa that she's just not going to get married at all. Nobody. And he's consistently wanting her to take a husband so she's protected and that he can be her shield and all this stuff. Yeah. And I love that she says that she's trained for 10 years, so she doesn't need a shield at all. All she wants is to give her heart to the man she loves, no marriage. And I was like, that is groundbreaking even today. Like, it is such a noble intention. She kind of like does this whole speech with her grandpa. And because she needs no shallow or stereotypical security from a man. She just wants the luxury of love, of affection. And it's really beautiful. She does not, as a character, follow through on that because she chooses the righteous cause, does not give into like this romantic ideal of just loving a man for loving a man. And ultimately, Eugene's character bails her out at the end of the movie. Yeah. Look at me. At the end of the show. Yeah. At the end of the show, he is like helping her to no end. And he tells her at one point, like, you have not repaid me at all for literally everything that I've done for you. The least that you can do is stay with me. Like, stay by my side. Of course, like that's the tried and true K-drama line. Like, just stay by my side. And she doesn't. She's like, no. In fact, she tries to break up with him.
Sorry.
Yeah, I wish that it was a little more on the romantic side than on the like righteous cause side, because it really falters her like assault on patriarchy because she ends up needing every guy in her life.
In the K-drama fanfic version of this show for me, I want to feel like it was meeting Hinakudo somewhat made her at least say these things about like wanting to like not ever marry anyone and to like, you know, F the patriarchy and all this kind of stuff, because Hina was married, played every dude like a fiddle, you know, like
she's so manipulative.
Like she used her feminine wiles for like as truly a weapon, and like she maintained this like I'm like a beautiful, like I'm like the owner of this hotel, and she had all this like autonomy. And again in this like fanfic version of this in my mind, I want to say she was inspired by her or something about meeting her changed something for her. But yeah, it didn't really follow through completely. She's married to Korea.
Yeah, she's
married to the cause.
Oh my god, exactly. She ends up basically marrying the cause and marrying her nationalism and the country. And at the end, the final shot is literally of her with the Korean flag. And that's the love of her life, essentially.
Okay, side note that I need to like interrupt and say is, can we just give props to the child actors in this freaking show? Because they were so good.
Holy shit.
So good.
They were amazing.
Every kid was amazing.
Yes.
Yes.
Did you, oh my God, have you watched When the Camellia Blooms at all?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
So the
I
kid,
did. So that little boy.
the kid from
little Eugene.
Oh my God. And we covered the show on the podcast.
Yeah.
When the Camellia Blooms, Pilgu is back in for his young Eugene. That's
yeah, he was so good. His crying,
the
constant crying and just
and
sniveling,
everything.
and oh God, and
oh
like
my God, you just want to
the begging and
hug him. He does so well. That is actor Kim Kang-hoon and amazing as Pilgu and as young Eugene.
Yeah, he's great. I haven't watched. Isn't he in Racket Boys or something? But I haven't watched that yet.
Maybe I don't know. I haven't watched Racket Boys.
He's
either.
like an adolescent now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's in that. But anyway, he is great as a child actor, so I'm sure we'll keep seeing him in the future.
Absolutely.
He's so good.
Oh my God, but speaking of cameos, the Descendants of the Sun second couple are Kim Tae-Ri's parents, like that in that extended flashback sequence in episode 1.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Jingu and what's her face? Lord, I forgot her name, but they
Yes. Yeah, I forgot her name, but I love her.
Yes.
What is her name? God
oh my
it.
God, from My Liberation Notes.
She's so good.
She's amazing.
Yes.
I'll get her name right now. But what did you think of that cameo? And honestly, they kind of mildly reference. Oh, it's Kim Ji-won and Jingu. They mildly reference how, you know, in a future Korea with peace and like independence or whatever, they will find each other again. Like they were talking about her parents.
Right.
And I was
You're
like,
right.
is this an obvious reference to Descendants of the Sun?
Definitely
I
it
feel
was.
like it is. Okay.
Had to have been.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, the kid actors were doing such a great job. The kid who played little Gu Dong-mei like had his similar, somehow like a child version vibe of his, and was so good. The little like Domi who helped at the American legation was adorable.
Oh my God, I know.
Good.
Oh my God, but at the end of the show they showed him grown up. Kim Min-jae plays.
He literally salutes like Eugene's grave. I'm like, oh my God.
And I'm like, oh my God. This show had everything. Oh my God. Do you know the SNL sketch?
Yes. It had everything.
The show had everything. Anyway.
Samurais and soldiers and
Let's start with it. I will die if you like actually develop a little script. Oh shit. Anyway, that was awesome. He's from Dali and Cocky Prince, I believe. And yeah, he plays the little errand boy all grown up at the very end of the final scene of the movie. Oh, Kyle Moore.
I also like the teenage soldier.
But there's more like Descendants of the Sun people in here because
Kyle Moore. Yep.
That guy is the bad guy.
Okay,
from
his accent kept like yes, I remember.
Yes, girl.
His accent, he like was going from like southern, like hey Eugene, like to like some I don't know. His accent was like all over the place. I was like, what is going on with your accent? I know you speak English. Like what's happening right now?
Did they put blue contacts on him, or was it in my head?
I think they did, and I found it so weird because isn't he Korean?
Yeah, he's like a Korean American.
Yeah,
his name is
so I was like
David McInnes.
Yes, but they were trying to play it off like he was just a like Caucasian American man.
Yeah, and I was like, no one's talking.
When are we going to talk about his Koreanness? Oh, never.
I have to
because he's not Korean. His character's not Korean.
His character's not Korean, but he is half. Oh God, here it is.
He is in real life. And then I think you're right about the context thing, which were really throwing me off. Like I was very confused at first when he first like kept coming on screen. And his accent was all over the place. I was like, where in America are you supposed to be?
Yeah, he's American, but he obviously is in the entertainment industry in Korea. Wikipedia says since 1999 he's been working in Korea.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's American.
I think I knew that,
and obviously Korean. Like
I think for this character though, he was trying to. He's like, sometimes I'm from South Carolina, Eugene, and then sometimes.
Well,
I'm from, like,
okay, so this
I don't
actor,
know, British or something.
David McInnes is from Wisconsin, Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I think we talked about this on the Descendants of the Sun episode too, because he's from Wisconsin, and I just think that
that's not what his accent said.
The accent was a little shaky.
Because sometimes he sounded mid-Atlantic. Sometimes he sounded like he like had just come from London.
There was
or
a
something,
mid-Atlantic
and it was like
accent
very
too.
weird,
or a transatlantic accent. Because sometimes he was he had that like sing-songy thing going on too, and I was like, that's weird. We are on the same page. But David McKinnis, did you think that he was going to be the bad guy at the end? I did think he was going to either do something inadvertently or like intentionally to screw things up. Yes,
but he did,
I thought that he was like a spy or something and leaking information to the Japanese, that he was a traitor at some point. Never happened.
Right.
Purely good guy.
Never happened.
I was surprised.
Yeah.
So surprised.
I wanted to talk real quick about the Junyoung, the military academy officer who was like ready to go to war today for Korea, ready to kill Japan today.
Yeah.
Because he's also a younger actor, not a child one maybe, but like his development too and his acting the last couple episodes where he's like on the train with them. And he's
absolutely.
You know, he was so good. And I don't know what else he's in, but he is super good. So props to that guy. I just wanted to shout him out because also looking at his Asian wiki profile, like he is 30 now and has like, beautiful hair. So good for him.
Wait, he's 30 and what? What was the last bit?
Beautiful haired.
Beautiful haired.
Look him up on Asian Wiki.
Well,
his name is Jang Dong-yoon.
I see him. Okay.
And so look at his Asian Wiki profile now.
You're killing me with
I'm so sorry. I'm purely shallow, and any kind of beauty I will have to like notate.
Okay,
like,
well, talking about beauty.
I talked about.
Okay, no, but no. Now you hit a nerve here because you're talking about beautiful people and beautiful hair and shit, and like Yoo Yeon-Seok as Gudonme.
Yeah, right.
What the hell was that?
Oh my god. Okay, I only saw Reply 1984 where he played like the dorkiest baseball player on the planet.
Oh my
and he
god,
went from
I know.
That
yeah,
to
he was in Reply 1994.
And I was like,
94 is to me that's not the best reply.
No, the worst of the replies.
It's like the worst one.
The worst reply. But I watched the whole thing partially because of him because I was like, well, he's fun.
He was putting off waves of just sexy in this show.
Yeah.
And I could not deal with it. I was like, I love Lee Byung-Hun like as much as the next person, but like, who is the real lead here? It's Gudonme.
Yes.
100%.
He was acting his ass off. He had this thing with the clothes going on, same to like the girl who played Hinakudo. He just was those samurai robes he was wearing. I mean, it got like kind of annoying to be like blood splattered for him all the time, but he just his like smirking, his like just strutting around and his like just they're so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh my god.
That questionable facial hair, all of it.
The
was great.
facial hair.
I think those are like the things they put on him every morning. I'm pretty sure. I don't think he grew that.
Well, the thing is, I was looking closely. It's like the bottom half under his chin, all of that was real, and then just the stash was fake.
I thought I saw him talk about it at some point. And I do remember he said, at least somewhere, maybe it was the stash that he was talking about, like having to get them like individual hairs placed on him before every shoot. And it took like 100 years for him to like get into that like just visual mode.
Oh my god! Well,
because the hair, was like I think a wig.
Yeah. The hair was definitely a wig. They didn't have him looking ratchet out in the streets. But so look, episode 5, I think it is. They're picking up shit off the floor in some, I don't know, like a shop or something. And her pink skirts brushes over his hand.
Yes.
I lost it. Like, I lost it. It was so beautifully shot, beautiful and sensual. And it had like the vibe of like a hand shot in a period piece drama, like a la Mr. Darcy and Pride and Prejudice. Like it had that like vibe. I was like, this is for the ladies in the house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is not for the guys. The guys don't understand this. It's for the the women. And I mean, and then he grabs her skirt.
Her reaction to her like,
because she's like, oh my god, like,
oh my
unhand
god,
me. It was like
under my skirt right now, like 45 feet away from my body, but still
scandalous. And he keeps saying like he's not doing anything, even though he's clearly like clutching her skirt. And he won't let the skirt go. Yeah. And I just have him.
Didn't it like cut his hand or something?
Oh, no, I don't think it cut his hand.
Like leaves like a paper cut on his hand, I thought.
Oh, man. Anyway. But he was like, I mean, in my notes, I have, what is going on? What does this mean? And the closing.
Because these 3 dudes are after her.
Yeah. They're after her. He would like have these moments with her that just, I couldn't deal with that one moment in episode 5. And the closing shot of that episode was them inside the building. It's like a freeze frame image of them. And it's almost like they're not moving at all because it's in slow motion. The rain is falling in slow motion. It was absolutely beautiful, gorgeous. 10 out of 10.
Him with every girl. Like his stuff with Hina Kudo too. Like her final confession, I was slayed. Like, oh my God. I was like, this I would have won either way. Had he like ended up somehow having a real romantic moment with Lady Aishin or with Hina Kudo, it would have been a win for everyone involved because he just was sensual and all that with everyone, like all the ladies, and
like he's just pure sex, like pure, in the vein sex.
The woman with mutism that he had as like his sidekick almost.
Oh my God, he was like living with the shaman girl who like was just doing tarot cards.
When he would walk in on Hina Kudo's bath. Sorry, now my brain is like flashing images of the show. Like every minute I was having a cow over Yoo Yeon-Seok.
Oh man, yeah. So, in episode 10 or 11, I can't remember which one it is. Hina Kudo is riding the trolley at night and it's snowing. So she holds out her hand to catch the falling snow and he grabs her hand and whisks her off the trolley in like pure K-drama form. And just the visuals were stunning. They're left standing like super close to one another. And then she pulls a gun on him. And she says, "Be careful when you take a lady's hand. We don't always carry rainbows and sunshine." And I was like, bitch, I was like dying.
That's my girl.
Oh my God. Yeah. That was talk about slow burn. Cause that secondary romance, if you can even call it that, was pure vibes. If you thought the main romance was vibes, the secondary thing with Dongmae and
because
Hina,
they were more of a kindred spirit, I feel like, because they'd gone through the same kinds of shit. Like, you know, like, yeah.
Yes.
Also, when even the moment where he cuts Aishin's hair, even though that was brutal,
that was awful.
It wouldn't have been so brutal if all that wasn't happening that whole time. Like it wouldn't have the same impact. I feel the act of, especially for us as modern viewers, like you don't like. Yeah, I don't want anyone to cut my hair like that in the middle of the street, but like because they knew each other, it was I think a little bit softened, and because you know him and he's sort of like that, it was kind of like eh. But then like I think like the buildup of like just all the tenseness around them all the time, the tension around them all the time, and then he like whips out his sword and cuts her hair was extra shocking because of that. So I think he just did it. It had everyone acting their pants off in the show, and that was great / horrible. You know what I mean? Like when he did that.
Yeah,
the impact.
I'm gonna skip to the end with Dongmae and Hina because what is that? Episode 23. Oh my God! So she dies, right? It is brutal. He takes her. This is where we coming back to like the transportation issue. Like they were essentially in Seoul. They end up at the beach. He took her to the beach, close to where her mother. On
piggyback because she can't walk.
On piggyback, she cannot walk. She's dead weight. Close to where her mother is buried. She confesses that Eugene is not the one in her heart anymore and hasn't been for a long time. She says she's been waiting for a man who loves another woman, and that love made him go mad. And I was like, bitch, say less. She says the area, this like the beach, would be beautiful in snow, told him to come visit her when it snows. And that, of course, they flash back to that moment that I just talked about when he grabs her off of the trolley in the snow and they're just like frozen in time. And then she tells him like, you know, don't come right away, live a little longer. It's awful. They had such a wonderful, unfulfilled love. And ultimately, she died a patriot, something that she was kind of wrestling with the whole show. You know, what her identity was.
What did you think of when the bathtub scene where she gets out of the bath and she's covered in scars? I mean, her backstory of like getting married off by your dickhead dad to some like douchebag probably who's like, you're like his second
I think
wife
he
or
was
something.
old. He
dies. Yeah, super, super old. Dies. You get everything by just de facto. You're his widow. And then, but obviously she was so like she was so upset and hurt that her dad did this to her. She's always missing her mother. And I really want to know more about like why she missed her mother so much, like other than obvious reasons, you know, like what happened to her mother or like whatever her mother might have endured as the wife of her crazy father. And then like this. Yeah, Iwanik, and then the scars all over her her ability to be like, I speak Japanese, I speak French, I speak English, I speak Korean, you know, like all of that, like all that survival stuff. Like, what was she doing in Japan? Like, I mean, not Japan. What was she doing with the fencing in France? And was it just that guy? And like sussing out who's a spy and just having this like one eye on everything at her hotel, like knowing all the shady business, but acting like she didn't, acting so innocent. Like she had so much going on. And then even that's why I feel like she's really more kindred spirits with Dongmei, because he also went through God knows what in Japan. And then, you know, like we know his childhood and then we skip all of his whole life in Japan and now he's in Korea strutting around, but we miss there's so many gaps for both of them, but they've both been, they're like kindred and they know like each
I
other's
absolutely
souls
feel
somehow.
the same way that they're soulmates.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's so distracted by Aishi and it's like so dumb. But,
oh my god.
But she's also just, she herself was also.
So that's the thing is like by the end, when Dongmei dies, I'm fully expecting him to have visions of Hina as he is passing on.
I thought the same thing.
He doesn't. He has visions of Eshin again. And I'm like, oh my god, to the end. He never like
why not though? Because I get like she saved your life and that was like your pivotal moment in your life / childhood. And like this, and maybe it's like hope for him. This nobility didn't treat him like absolute shit. So like, he's like, oh my God, I love you. But it was,
I totally
it was
feel like
baffling by the end.
It's baffling by the end. And he did just imprint on Eshin, essentially. There was no like nobody else. Brutal. Even though he's very affected when Hina dies, it's not what I thought when he dies.
No, same.
Yeah.
Also, what about the betrayal from the lady, the shaman lady with the mutism? Like her betrayal of him by selling him out. That's saying like Lady Aishi was in Japan. I don't know if you remember that. So Lady Aishi goes to Japan to carry out her mission, and then she sends a telegram because she just doesn't want Gu Dongmei to die, saving her, which he obviously was like prepared to do. And he is so pissed at her. And then the whole like his little faction of the Black Dragon Society falls apart. The Mushin, as they called it in the show.
Is that the translation from Mushin? Black Dragon?
No, so there was a real society called Black Dragon Society that kind of roamed around Korea as part of like affiliated with Japan, and they were sort of like maybe like Yakuza. I don't know if that's
I kind of assumed that they were Yakuza, and I think at one point I read a translation. Of course, it was on Netflix. But
it was
Yakuza, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think you would consider like to compare to modern day, you would think Yakuza, similar like stuff going on, similar like interactions or transactions.
Yeah.
But there was a real thing called Black Dragon Society that existed, and they actually, I think, possibly, or at least when it aired in Korea, they called them the Black Dragon Society, and then they changed the name to Mushin Society because it was too. Actually, the writers got accused of being too pro-Japanese and saying, like, specifically Gu Dongmei's character, of being like somebody who was justified in hating Korea to death, you know, like
so
he was so wronged.
So that's the thing about the complaint of it being pro-Japanese is because the movie. Why do I keep saying the movie? It's just cinematic. It's just so cinematic. I think it's a movie.
Yeah, it's so cinematic.
No, the show does a great job of painting Korea in a negative light and a positive light. And you have the running theme of patriotism.
I was listening to your Snowdrop episode, and there was a Blue House petition for this show as well. Because I know you mentioned that for your Snowdrop. So there was a Blue House petition saying, okay, so I have a quote here. It says on July 16th, this is from South China Morning Post. I have this quote. On July 16th, the petition appeared on the Chonghua Day, which is the Blue House website, calling on the government to prevent factual errors in period dramas. The petition stated, quote, in the historical facts, there are definite perpetrators and victims. Chosan was not depicted as a victim of colonization, but instead one that invited it. Gu Dongmei's character is a villain, but by showing reasons he had to join the pro-Japanese organization, his actions have been justified, end quote. So this was like as the show was airing, and then they had to like kind of rewrote his whole character to be a little like more on the Korean side or like helping Korea, because this was the way it was starting to go. People were getting pissed in Korea. So they sent this petition, the writers rewrote it, they changed Black Dragon Society to Mushin Society, which is a fictional thing.
Got you. Yeah. Wow, that is so interesting, because that's my favorite thing of the show is like I guess the characters have every reason to hate Korea. You know, Korea is painted in a bad light because of their history.
To be fair, some Korean netizens were upset because they were like, why are you showing that Korea had no electricity till like someone else brought it in? I mean, because that's what happened. Like, sorry. Like, you know, some people were getting upset over kind of sillier things, you know, or taking umbrage at because they maybe themselves are super patriotic. And I understand, like, you don't want Korea to come across some kind of like backwoods
true.
society, but
sure.
But I mean, historically speaking, and I think this is one thing about historical fiction that's so interesting. And again, going back to your Snowdrop thing for a minute, which I was listening to a little bit, there is like this push and pull of like historical fiction and being like a fiction and being art and being this and that.
Yeah.
But then if you don't know the history or you don't have a context for the history,
Yes.
there's so much that could go wrong. And so
Right.
it definitely touches lots of nerves.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, the thing about electricity is silly, or like, you know, but I get kind of why you're basically saying Japan and this guy like selling himself to Japan, like his allegiance to Japan made sense, and they were upset with it, and then they like, okay, we're gonna backtrack and change his story arc. I don't know. It's hard.
I'm on the
and
fence about
it's
that
hard
one.
too.
I really am.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even have a side really, because I'm like, but I will, full disclosure, I studied history in college. I have a history degree. So it's, and one thing about it is like, it's sort of like that line from Hamilton, like who lives, who dies, who tells your story,
exactly.
you know, like who gets to say what is history,
Yeah.
and who is the one teaching it, and how are you portraying it, and whose perspective are we looking at it from? Because some of those people which Mr. Sunshine shows, who were like kind of pro-Japanese or like, you know, played with the Japanese so that they would get some kickback,
Like
or benefit
Iwanik,
out
for
of it.
example. That's a prime example of a terrible character.
Yeah,
Who was
Iwanik is a prime example. Yeah, but they have their reasons too,
Exactly.
and for them to them, it's like, well, it's good that Japan should, like, some people definitely did even later, like maybe they show some pachinko, which I haven't watched it, but I read the book like many times. But there's some people who were not fine, but they were like, yeah, okay, I'll play along with the Japanese stuff. Like, I don't care that they're here. I think they're making our country better.
And
There's always
Eugene
some
is
perspective of that.
constantly maintaining this narrative. I don't care who takes ownership of Korea. I really don't. I just want all of you guys to stay safe.
Well, that was weird because he's like, I'm not helping Korea because of Korea. I'm helping because of this lady. I was like, this is weird. Like, but okay.
That's another thing to, you know what? Let's segue into their relationship, because I feel like it's the main thing that people recall of the show is just them two. And he is, again, maintaining that he is American, pro-America, don't tread on me, all that shit. And he is actively going back to Korea and jeopardizing his entire military career for the woman he loves because she is a revolutionary. She's trying to put Korea back on top again and trying to fortify Korea against all of these foreign incursions. And even though America is taking like a back seat during this time period, this very small time period, like there's tensions from all sides. And, you know, at one point they were talking about like, why isn't America helping us? Because we're allies. We signed a treaty with America and they're not doing anything to help us. It's because of all of these backwoods money deals that happen, that there's a loan out to Japan from America. America stands to make a ton of money off of any war that happens in Japan. So it behooves them not to do anything. So it was like very political in that sense. And he just bypasses all of that. Like he is above all of that, essentially.
He's not married to America, unlike her.
People
married
are,
to Korea.
yes, he loves America. He calls it his homeland, fine. But he is not burying himself next to the American flag and, you know, being that into patriotism like she is. Like he's not that. Even
because he did it for survival reasons. And, you know, he was like, this is a ladder I could climb, the ladder of the military. I can work my way up the ranks till I become whatever like role he was.
I honestly feel like they didn't do such a good job of explaining why he was in the military, like what it gave him.
Right.
I guess you could see like the end product, obviously, of all of his power and influence while he's in Korea at the legation. But initially he was being bullied, harassed in the streets just because he was Asian. And
I mean, there's that line in the show where he's like, an American gun doesn't care if you're a noble or
yeah.
Like, you know, like he says that to her.
Yeah, and then he's got
So
all the
I was
quips.
like, what does this mean?
what is that quip? Like, carry a big stick? Oh my god. He quotes a president.
Yeah.
At one point.
Carry a big stick. Speak softly and carry a big stick.
That's some president that said that. I can't remember which one.
Isn't it Teddy Roosevelt?
I think it is Teddy Roosevelt.
It's Teddy Roosevelt.
Teddy Roosevelt said that. He quotes it like a couple of times early on.
No, that was corny as hell. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Why are you saying
So I'm
that?
very intrigued by his distinction of like, I'm not doing this for Korea. I don't give a fuck who owns Korea. But he hates the Japanese whatever they're doing in the streets. Like he's wildly upset.
So fluent.
Yes.
Why is he fluent? Like, I have so many questions. Like, was he stationed in Japan? I know, like, of course, America is also involved in Japanese stuff for a long time. I don't know what was going on. I was just like, I didn't get him at some points, you know?
Yeah.
I just didn't get him. And then the fact that he was at the very end, like you said, helping so much, but because of her, I was like, that's your excuse because you just want to help her? I mean, it almost like he wasn't, even if he had said, like, because I love the, like, Potter guy. I mean, he was sort of alluding to that, but, like, he didn't, like, say it so explicitly. He was just like, it's all about her. I was like, no, you love everybody here. Like, you love all these Korean people, so.
Yeah.
Admit it,
I don't know. It's hard to say. I guess the distinction I'm trying to make is he can back her and her ideologies without believing in her ideologies. And I feel like that would throw me
But
off
can
the
he?
scent,
I don't think so. I wasn't buying it.
Right.
I felt like, I was like, no, you love Korea. Just admit it.
Right. Like he would, and
You
then
know,
the
if it comes
flag,
down to it, you would pick Korea.
the flag that the
Oh,
king
why
gave
was he
him-
holding on to that flag?
Oh.
Explain that. What was that?
Then he had
Don't
it draped on his
understand.
bed or something. Like there was like some weird.
That
thing.
was weird.
I was
That's
like,
when like
what
the
is going on?
nationalism was getting really weird.
Yeah,
the patriotism was getting so weird. I was
girl.
like, what are we doing right now?
Yes. Oh my god. Okay, let's recenter here. So, Lord, where do I go? We were talking about their romance, the meet cute. Let's talk about the meet cute. Episode 2, they meet. I don't know if I've ever
Ruth.
seen a meet cute where they're both trying to snipe the same guy before.
It was creative. It was clever. I liked that as a meet cute.
Yeah. A lot of iconography, them on the roof, them like freeze frame because
Her like when they hold their hands up to each other like this,
Yes.
because they're like, "Are you?" That was iconic.
it is iconic. And I fully
That was the one time where I believed in them.
Yeah.
Not the one time, but like one of the few times.
Yeah. But then
Other
he
times I
like
was like,
tricks
I don't
her.
know.
He tricks her into like falling in love with him because in episode 3, she's like, "What is love?" She's learning English. I heard it's better than gaining a title. And he says, "Well, you can't do it by yourself. You need someone to do it with." And she's like, "Would you do it
That
with
was
me?
so weird.
Would you do it with
Oh,
me?" And it's
gosh.
just, it is a really nice moment between them. There's nice electricity between them. But obviously,
Yes.
he is manipulating her into.
Yeah, because he knows what it means.
He
and she's
knows what
sort
it
of
means.
Tricking her. I don't know.
Yes. So I'm like
It's
torn.
sort of weird.
It
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted it wasn't as good as it could have been if it was a little less weird.
It was weird, and then you're just like, what?
Yeah.
And then he's 10 years older than her
But it
in the
was
context
good,
of the show. So
yeah.
there's this whole like older man, younger woman, and then he's kind of.
Do they kiss? I don't remember them
No,
kissing. Do they actually?
They do not
Okay,
kiss.
and that was weirding me out too because I was like, you're 100 years older than her, and so so I'm glad you didn't, kind of, but like,
Yeah.
it was strange. It was
Yeah.
strange. They had all these private moments together. She like kick out her servants and be like, leave us alone, like we're gonna talk and like talk or
Look,
like
what
are we doing?
all I'm saying is they spent days riding to the beach.
Yes,
presumably
they fell asleep on
days-
each other.
Fell asleep on each other,
Yes.
presumably days riding back, and you're telling me there was no kiss,
Yeah.
no sex?
Nothing. And I mean, if you think about it, Gu Dongmei got further than he did by putting his hand under her skirt and like sitting in the palanquin with her.
You're right. All they did was hug, and maybe it's because of the Koreans that they are, I guess,
Yeah.
the 20-year age gap in real life was like kind of causing them to be a little more
It
prudish.
was weird though. I feel like by the end, he's about to die for you, girl. Like, do something. Like, something has to happen.
That's what I'm saying is I'm like, homeboy is literally taking the shot for you, dying for you,
This
and
is your time.
you can't
This is your
even
time.
kiss him on the cheek. Like there was nothing.
I mean, to be fair, at that point, it'd be a lot harder to let him do that. But like, you should have.
No, but you see what I'm saying. Like there was life and death
Yeah.
situations prior to that they had a moment to
Yeah,
breathe
that's true.
afterward, and there was still like nothing.
Still nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing. But she said
That was the one part where it didn't pay off. I
it
guess.
did no payoff there. Absolutely not. But
Yeah.
episode 9, she's talking about she'd rather be a flame than a flower, burn fiercely and then wilt. And he's like, "Oh, she's so cruel." I love this cruel woman. And it's a thing that like keeps popping up is that she just wants to like burn brightly and then
Everyone says she's cruel.
Yeah.
And she is. So.
she is. She's terrible. I don't know if I
heartless.
would like Ishin if I like came across her. I'd be like, I don't know if we'd be friends, bitch. Like you're just like too much.
She's very out of touch, and even when she starts to get a clue, it's like, okay.
Yeah,
now
she's
you're
always
finally
like
sort of getting it.
insulated. She's just so insulated the whole time.
Because even then she's protected.
Yes, even at
even
the
when
end.
her servants die.
Yes, let's talk about
and they're
that.
like, shield her. Oh, okay. I just hate. So, you know, of course it's all very touchy because enslavement is like a whole thing. And like, yes, they're now just her regular servants,
Yeah.
you know, like, it's still like the amount of loyalty and the amount of like just doting on her. Like it made sense because you've known her since she was a literal baby, but it was really hard to watch this level of like, you know, the things they would do for her, the lengths they would go for her. They put themselves in danger so many times, or at least of being fired, maybe more, because at the end of the day, there still was a class system. She's still a nobility. And for servants to be like, you know, lying on her behalf and stuff, they could have been like, who knows what at that point, you know, like, I don't know. And then she did take them, I think, for granted. And then
she
like,
loses
I
them
don't
in
know.
episode 23, real late in the show, right? 23. There's 24 episodes. They like provided a decoy in town, and they went along with a bunch of older people. They're joking.
So they can all die together because they're older. Their lives haven't lived.
They don't have a lot of stuff to contribute to the righteous army, and so they're just like, we'll be a decoy so everyone can make it out. And they, along the way, they're like joking with each other. They're messing around. They have the palanquin because, of course, she's supposed to be in there. Yeah. And just as the male and female, I think it's Miss Haman is her name.
Yes.
And then the male servant, I forget his name, but they are about to hold hands. She's literally just confessed that she likes him or loves him or whatever. And they're about to hold hands, and they all get gunned down.
That was brutal and so unnecessary.
So brutal. The most brutal you could be. Like, this was like really upsetting. As for me, I was crying. And then she shows up, is shocked to see them there. She had no idea of the plan.
So did they keep that like decoy plan a secret from her?
They must have kept it a secret from her. And second, she never considered that they would die.
Yeah, that she was so out of touch.
She was out of
making me
touch.
so mad sometimes.
Going back to our earlier thing, I was like, what do you mean? And even Eugene's like, you need to shore up, homie, because how do you think?
I mean, even after he called her out and was like, you realize like they can't just eat wherever, sit wherever, do whatever. Yeah. They're beholden to you. She still was like, chop, chop, my palanquin. Like, chop, chop. Like, come here. I need you, Miss Hammond. Like, I was just like, what is going on? But it was so, like, it both showed, I don't know, it's like this, again, romanticization of slavery, where like,
it reminded me a little bit
love them so much.
This is very American, but oh my God, I will never go hungry again. What is that one? Oh my God.
Is it Gone with the Wind?
Yes, thank you. Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
This show reminded me heavily of Gone with the Wind because it is at this juncture in the Korean history, right? Where you have East meets West, a lot of flux happening, and you have almost like her era where she grew up and stuff in the Yangbun era, where it is like the South, like, what is it? Antebellum South? Yeah. Feels like that. And then you have all this shit happen to her. Her family implodes. It's terrible, really awful stuff. People getting gunned down. The grandfather's funeral getting upset. Iwanik wreaking havoc and all this. It's like her family just dies out. And it feels like the family, what happens to Scarlett's family.
The destruction of Atlanta.
Yeah, the destruction of Atlanta and Gone with the Wind. And it took, like, I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about Gone with the Wind, but yeah, if you kind of apply the same like epic that Gone with the Wind is, this is like that for Korea.
It's very much like that. Very much like that. Yeah. And at least she never slaps her servants, which is not more than we can say for Miss Scarlett O'Hara. So,
oh my God! At least she didn't. Nobody was called Ashley. That always bugged me the wrong way. Ashley. Ashley.
Yeah.
I was like, shut up. I hate the name Ashley. Yeah. Period. And then she was like, he was named Ashley, and the way she said it was just so annoying. Yeah. Ugh. Okay. Man, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Is there more that you want to talk? I think, oh my God, the grandpa, when I think what I want to touch on with her grandfather is that he has such a gut reaction to Eugene saying that he's lowborn. Grandpa starts saying, like, how could you humiliate me like this? And
but that seemed realistic.
I was like, whoa,
Kinda.
It did seem realistic because he's just hella old on his way out and still has his pride hurt. Vanity in jeopardy, reputation to uphold, is actually humiliated by his precious granddaughter, the rebellious, headstrong one who is intelligent, a sniper by his own doing, because he's the one who initiated her training.
That's right.
And all of a sudden she's in love with a lowborn. Oh my God, get the fuck out. Like, it was so...
But she's his favorite granddaughter.
Excessive.
And
yes.
he's the one he like put all his like, eggs in that basket. Because her
true.
cousin was an idiot, or whatever, like not helpful. And she's the one who was like his hopes and dreams. And he really loved, her father who passed away and like, never got to meet her mother. And so he had all this like stuff riding on Ishin. And so I think that's what elicited this visceral reaction to Eugene's confession, which like we were saying was pretty realistic. But yeah, it was also out of pocket to be like, excuse you, how dare you?
He was like, why are you doing this to me? And I was like, what do you have to do with it? It was very patriarchy, so much patriarchy in that moment just coming to a head because you think he's an ally and then all of a sudden he like does this 180 and it's like, oh my God, he's a classist, sexist, like all these things like coming into play.
Well, and I think how could he not be like that still? He's still, he lived however aged he lived to.
Yes, he's like
with all
100 years old or something. Like they just make him look so
and
old.
This is all new.
Yeah.
This whole revolutionary thing, having to support the righteous cause, which he never wanted to. He thought his kids were like silly for trying to fight.
But he funded the righteous army for like years and years and years. So he was in on the plot, but he just, I guess, wasn't in on the social revolution that was happening.
Yes. He wasn't.
That was a different story.
He was just wanted the Japan people to be out of there.
Yeah. I like that moment though. After he leaves, Eugene leaves. She's like, I think you should go, and he leaves. And she runs after him and jumps the garden wall. And she catches up to him.
Yes.
And she's like extremely emotional. And she's like, please try to understand my grandfather. And he plays it off. He does her a kindness. He says, I'm actually grateful I got to see you again because of him. He's like, you take after him. I wondered who taught you to be this wonderful. Like, he's really taking it well. And because she was running, she loses a shoe, very Cinderella-y. He goes and puts it back on her. And they cut to her, Kim Diddy, right? And she's crying, lip quivering, crying. Like, she's like, like it's just moving everywhere. And I have in my notes, oh my God, she's breaking. Because it was such a good moment for her. Obviously, she plays it kind of close to the chest throughout the show, even though she does have emotional moments. She is very hard-faced and
so stoic.
Very stoic and has a really good poker face. And in that moment, she just breaks, and I loved it. I love the vulnerability there.
Yeah, I mean, also another moment like that is when she pulls the ring out from her. Whatever she's wearing to be like, I'm still married to you.
Oh,
like in my
God.
heart, fake married to you.
Yeah.
I thought that was also similar. Like, because she did, I mean, we saw her little secret moves of like, I'm going to keep this ring and act like I'm not wearing it. And like, hide my hand behind my back. But then when she like just pulls out, I was like, I love you.
Yeah. So. Oh, man. So, I mean, we could talk about that. The rings and stuff.
Well.
Yeah. So this is sad.
I really wanted. Oh, go on. Yeah.
What do I have here? I have the in episode 21, he proposes to her, and it's not the romantic proposal that everybody wants. It's out of necessity. She has manipulated her love.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's using
his love for her to get him to get her to Japan. And he's like, well, the safest way is if you're my wife. So they kind of forge the marriage, and he hands her. What is it? They're in the bakery, the French bakery. And there's flour on the table. He writes...
They're at Paris Baguette.
Yeah. So he writes love on the table in English. And in place of O, he puts the ring.
Oh!
I died. I was like...
Oh, I know. I wish I wasn't so susceptible to that dumb moment, but I loved it.
It was horrific and wonderful at the same time because you know that it's
corny.
It's corny, but it's not really sincere because she's like...
Effective.
Yeah.
Yes, that too.
She's lying in a sense and manipulating him. And when he takes the ring off the table and hands it to her, puts it on her finger, tells her the meaning behind it, the Western story of the
naming
wedding ring,
conventions.
the naming conventions, because she's got to take his last name and all that shit. And they pan back to the table and it says live now instead of love. And I was like, if that's not a clear sign of how this thing is going to end, they are not going to end up in loving each other. Like, the love is not going to win out. She's going to live because of what he's doing for her. And yeah, it's just, he's just very forlorn in that moment. It's not a triumphant moment, not happy. He has to fake the marriage to help her accomplish the mission. And yeah, it's just versus a sincere manifestation of their love.
The wedding portrait they take.
The wedding
that wedding.
I lost. You're hitting nerves here because some of these things are just manufactured to make
so
you
effective.
Emotional.
Why do we all watch K-dramas? It's this stuff.
This is like K-drama.
Why
crack.
are we watching this show?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Oh man, but they leave the day they leave on the train too for the mission. She's dressed in Western ladies' clothes, not the suit, like the
looking so fly.
tuxedo mask suit. It's the tuxedo mask suit. She's not in that. She's got a dress on.
I love that.
Yeah.
When he song puts it on, oh my god. Just love these people. All these people are so great.
You know, she looks stunning in this moment. And he acts so well here, Lee Byung-Hun. You can see that she takes his breath away. Like he's literally like he kind of catches his breath and he says, if my last memory of Joseon is this beautiful, I'll never forget it. And I was like, oh god.
Like
she
I was
oh god.
But I was just gonna say, like, all this wedding talk was reminding me of how sad I was about the fact that the loneliest and most hurt people ended up dying alone.
Yes.
You know, like Hee-sung too, like who knows, I know he lived or no, he died. Everybody died.
Oh,
he
died. So
everybody dies alone. Okay. Nobody got anything.
Hold on. So to finish up that thought of the rings and stuff.
Yes.
I'll finish it up. So she figures out that he should be wearing a ring too, a matching ring. And she puts the ring on him because he had it on him. And she finally says, I love you. She says, I love you. I've always been in love with you. Tears streaming. He lets out a breath that he'd been holding, evidently. And it's just a really sad, sad moment. But one that you
know what's going to happen.
You know what's going to happen. You're just like, oh my God. So 2 more deaths. And then I think we should start wrapping it up. We've gone really long on this episode. But okay, so Lee Sung dies. He ends up hiding.
I love him.
He was great. Like, underrated character, I would say.
Super underrated.
Underrated.
Watch Miss Sang and tell me if you think the same about that. But anyway, go on.
I will watch me sing eventually. Okay. I promise. Okay. So he ends up hiding like a time capsule of photos and evidence of the Righteous Army and all of the like human rights violations and shit that Japan has been doing. And he hides it and then he gets caught for his pro-Korea newspaper. They want intel. Who's the Righteous Army? Where's Ishin? All this stuff. And he just gives his previous line, I like beautiful but useless things. And in the end, he was a patriot and a journalist as well. Died a romantic.
His whole deal of like, you can fight with guns and I'll fight with words. I mean, it was really, it's very true, right? Mm-hmm. So like, you know, that's documentation of being a witness to all
witness
this
to history
is also important.
Yeah, absolutely. And one last hit to the head sends him to the ground, and the ticking of his grandfather's pocket watch, which was an omen throughout the show.
Definitely.
It slows.
Led to a couple deaths in a way.
And it's
led to a couple demises, I'll say.
I know. It was brutal. And now finally it's ticking its last time for him. It slows down to nothing and he's out of time. It's done. Yeah. It's very almost anticlimactic, almost too banal of an ending for such a character.
That's like facile, as it were. Yeah. But not really. But it made sense for him. It made sense for him. It did,
yeah. What about the last stand in the woods for the rest of the Righteous Army that didn't make it out? There were like they split up into like 4 platoons trying to make it to Manchuria. A couple of platoons don't get out. They're completely surrounded in the woods. But they, you know, valiantly raise the flag to fight until the bitter end. And the Potter...
Oh, the Manchurian. Okay, yeah.
The Potter gives like a great rallying speech to... And that's it. Like, they all die.
I mean, again, when you start the show and you know the history of Korea, it's like there's no way the Righteous Army's gonna like win somehow. Like otherwise, this is not happening.
Right.
So it was just sad the whole time, and yeah, the Potter out here making hard decisions. Like you know, I don't know. Like I loved his character in terms of like they showed the conflicting way to lead something like the Righteous Army or his faction of it, and the decisions you have to make in this and the sacrifices you have to make. Like he was the one who's explaining to everyone, like, you know, this is how it's going down. And yeah, I don't know. It's just sad. I think the ending was so sad.
It was the worst.
Because then you know Japan's gonna win.
You know Japan wins.
Yeah.
And is in power
Spoiler alert.
for decades. It's crazy.
Right.
The death of Iwanik, I kind of wished that Gunnar Jang was in on it, or that Wanik knew that she was trained by the Gunnar, because there was like this whole running theme of like, I'm going to get the guy who did this to me. And Wanik and Gunnar Jang had all of his bad blood because he killed his dad, he shot his leg, made him a cripple and all this stuff. And it never kind of manifested. But I guess they just sort of included Gunnar Jang when she shoots his shoulder. She shoots Wanik's shoulder, and then they flash quickly back to the Gunnar as a teenager. And so he was kind of there in spirit, I guess.
Again, props to the child actor.
Yes, he was great. His training, I guess, allowed her to take the 3 shots, and his daughter, he picked up the mess, did not shed a single tear. She was already feeling super guilty and torn about everything her dad did, all the sins of him. And what's cool is that Aeshin killed Wanik without ever knowing that he killed her parents.
That's right. Well, that was an interesting thing to me, because when it was not Gunnar Jang who got to get Wanik, it was like, you know, in real life, you don't get to kill your enemies or get, you know, you don't get the revenge that you deserve and want. And so I was like, maybe they're trying to like say something about that, where it's like, well, maybe he lives or something. Like I wasn't sure what was going to happen necessarily with him, but everybody who needed to die does end up dying, which is again that payoff that comes that you kind of want. But also like, yeah, it's interesting that they made it like she didn't even know she's getting revenge, that she was due, and the fact that he wasn't involved really. So. That was just an interesting the details in the show of how they wrote it and what they included and how they portrayed things, I thought was so good.
Yeah. Gunnar Jang's death, awful, no good, terrible.
He went out in literal flames of glory, though.
Literal flames of glory. He resolves his issues with the king because obviously Wanik spun the story that the king abandoned the people who were defending the fort during that incursion from the U.S. And then he had a bad blood with him and the king was like, he didn't say he was sorry, but it was basically said,
no. He literally says, I cannot
say I'm sorry, but I feel bad and whatever. And, you know, they did kind of hash it out. And in the end, he does die like defending the king and all these people, and he gets the youngins out of the military academy after they
what did you think about his marriage to the archer lady?
What the hell was that about? Were they actually
that was
married?
Just to mess with us.
Were they actually married?
Yeah, I think they were like common law married, I guess. I don't know, I have no idea how this works.
Thought that they were
seem
not
like they followed
married.
a religion, or like could they be married? I think they could, but like
I understood that they were not married. They just had a long-standing flirtation. They had unspoken feelings for each other, and they were looking out for each other.
You think they weren't even in a relationship?
No. And then when he kind of said towards the end of like when they were separated that we're gonna leave together and we'll forge a life together. They kind of like halfway said that they loved each other.
She said she was waiting for a handsome man to come back.
That's what that conversation ended up being like. I'm basically going to wait for him here. Whenever he's done, we're going to pick up and like move together. We're going to continue this together. And then she ends up hanging. That was horrible. She's the first death of the endgame.
That was horrible.
Horrendous.
Yes.
Like
so brutal.
And they have her hanging. And he shows up. And he can't even look at her. He's just like brimmed down on his hat, like cannot look at her. But he screams to cut her down because this is his wife. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, did he just claim her as his wife all of a sudden? Or did I misread the whole show?
My intended. This is my intended. Maybe it's like that. I don't know either. It was a little confusing. But So brutal nonetheless.
Yeah.
So brutal.
The love stories did not catch a break.
No.
Oh my God. Did you understand anything about the 7 traders of 1905, the 5 traders of 1905, the 7 traders of 1907?
Not really, but I will say in my research, there's all these little skirmishes and things. And like there was like people who were kind of like infiltrated the king's side of things and were really like kind of like Japanese spies and like were doing kind of these underhanded things, and that's what led to some of the like earlier skirmishes and different things like that.
Right.
And that's when things like Japan was just like squatting essentially in a way, and it seems like from what I read at least, and in the beginning, and then King Kojong was like, let me just like get some formal treaties and stuff, get other people involved so that we can. He had good intentions to get Korea to a place of power. But yeah, there was all these other little things that happened. There's a lot of like farmers against the king revolting and this and that because for various reasons before that, even before he was king. So I'm assuming I don't know, it's stuff like beyond me. And
because they made a point of having Hui Sung come
and
and take their photograph.
Okay, so I wanted to talk a little about this. The Righteous Army, Webyung, I might be pronouncing this wrong in Korean. Okay, so the thing about them was they were made up of like the tenement farmers and then like the army, the military people who got kind of like kicked out after Japan invaded the king's palace, like dethroned the king.
Yeah. The
king was like still signing stuff sort of, I think, on behalf of
just
Korea.
Like a puppet king,
it was
I guess.
just like Japan. Yeah, Japan was like pulling the strings. And so yeah, that is who the Righteous Army was, like those types, the same people we saw. And I wanted to mention, to speak on journalism a little bit, there was Frederick Mackenzie shows up at the end of the show and takes the photos of the Righteous Army. So one thing that I found out that I didn't quite realize at the time, first of all, that is based off a real photo, which you can look up when you look up Righteous Army. It is the only known photo of anyone who was in the Righteous Army that exists, according to what I've read. Don't quote me on that, but that is what I read.
They say that in the show. They say that.
Do they say that on the show?
Yeah.
I also read it elsewhere because I was like, I don't know what's going on here, but do they say that's the only photo in the show?
Well,
it is the only photo.
I think the journalist said or whatever that this is probably the only photo that will exist of you guys.
Yes. Okay. So foreshadowing, I guess, because that does end up being the only photo that exists of the Righteous Army. I don't know if they have the names, the list of names. I was like gonna try and like Google it, but like those Korean names are hard to Google because everyone has like the same names, like a lot. So yeah, I didn't really go there, but then I also wanted to kind of mention another journalist. So Philip J. Son was actually, so I was trying to find out, like, was Eugene Choi. So the thing that is good about historical fiction is it kind of brings people to try to pay attention to history or like find out about history that they didn't know before. Yeah. So that's a good thing. So I was like, is Eugene Choi, and that's like a common question. If you look at Mr. Sunshine, it's like, was Eugene Choi a real person? Was this based off a true story?
Right.
So there was a man named Philip Chason, and Jason maybe, but it's spelled Jaison.
Oh.
So sort of spelled like almost like Korean spelling in a way.
Right.
Or something. But Philip Jason, he was a Korean-born naturalized U.S. citizen and a former member of the Enlightenment Party. He published this like bilingual English-Korean newspaper called The Independence to educate Korea. However, what it was for, it was actually like American propaganda or something. It was to educate Koreans on like democracy and like, modernizations, that these are good things. Like, you want this trolley here or like this electric, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if those specific things, but he was trying to promote that stuff. And so there was sort of like this Eugene-esque person who existed. These journalists, though, like, kind of a mix of like what Frederick Mackenzie did and Hee-sung of like independent journalism.
Right.
And, Koreans, I don't know. It all kind of like somehow makes a full circle.
I got you. But, no, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's great. So, I can see, I can see them looking it up and be like, well, we could just make it 2 characters.
But that's if anyone does. And I think so, just to go back briefly to Snowdrop, or if you are to take some of this stuff to heart, it's like, if you don't know it, and even if you know it but you didn't live through it, it's like different, right? So it's different to have actually gone through. I think in America, because we haven't like thankfully had much happen on our soils in like generations, but 9/11 is, I think, something that people who lived through have like a certain concept of versus
absolutely
people who were born after,
or when Kennedy died for the previous generation, like
right, yeah. exactly that. So where were you when Kennedy died? Where were you on 9/11? Those things, those are kind of the closest maybe we as like very privileged Americans can relate to when you think of like people who are Korean or have Korean national pride and think of these events versus us just consuming as like media and entertainment. And
right.
So
interesting. I love your points. Okay, I'm coming up to the end of my notes, to be honest, and I don't know if I have the energy to like continue talking about Mr. Sunshine. It's just so overwhelming. But I think Eugene dying is the, I guess, icing on the cake, the cherry on top of this awful, like, really emotional, like, few episodes. The last 6 episodes are just bloodshed, hit after hit after hit, betrayal after betrayal. And, you know, he sacrifices himself to save what little was left of the righteous army, including his girl. And he uncouples the train, and, you know, he dies just shy of the sunlight because it's at the very end of this tunnel. It's very symbolic, and, you know, this is my history. This is my love story. This is why I have to go. I wish you victory. All of these things that he says, like in voiceover, are just crazy. I mean, awful.
Where else could he go? You know, like, that's what I just kept thinking at his death. I was like, this death is like, seems like it's in vain because it's for her, but like, she probably would have lived somehow.
You know, there is an argument or a point to be made, I think, that Eugene Choi's role in this show is greatly diminished after he goes to prison for 3 years and they have the time jump to 1907. When they come back from 1907, like, it is almost a completely different show. It is like,
it's a different country.
Yeah, different country and different but very high stakes. And you get the endgame episodes and you're just kind of like wondering where Eugene's character is going to land here. Obviously, everyone is doomed to die, but, you know, his character motivations, we touched on that earlier. Like, what is his deal? He's so wishy-washy, but at the same time, very resolute, staunchly American. And honestly, I think that they didn't know what to do with him. Like, they knew what to do with Gudanme.
Yeah.
I feel like they knew what to do with him way more than they knew what to do with Eugene.
They definitely clapped when he wrapped his scenes. Like, they knew exactly what they just were like, you're finished, you're done, and we've wrapped this nicely in a tidy manner.
Yeah,
but then, like, I thought when Aishin was hurt and she was kind of away for a few episodes because she was hurt, which was random.
Yeah,
and you didn't have her around, and people were just doing. First of all, I would love a spinoff of so many of these characters to exist again in my fanfic of my mind. That I will never write, but I would like to know what they do. But when she was gone, I was kind of like, oh, okay, bye. But then it's like, well, yeah, like, how would they have ended, quote unquote, her story too? Like, if we kept following her through until she probably eventually dies, I don't know what else, or like it's imprisoned or something. I don't know what else would happen to her. I kind of thought the same thing of like, there's nowhere else for her to go almost.
Yeah.
And even like keeping Eugene around or not, after those 3 years when he's in prison, there's like nothing else left for him to do.
Yeah. Like he's lost some edge, and I don't know. Maybe the show should have just ended around then. You know? Yeah. And had a weird sort of stinger with like, and the Japanese forces took over and dethroned the king in whatever year. And like,
the trial was weird too. His trial.
Yeah, the trial was, oh God. No one can do a good American.
The judge was
Look,
so
I'm telling you this right now. The Americans are the only ones who can do an American trial in cinema.
A trial.
Like,
no, I was going to say the accent.
Oh, I'm telling you, like, the portrayal of this trial was like bonkers. I was like, okay, ridiculous. So there's 4 people there in this like jury, nobody else in here. And I just seen like, like I have so many issues, really. That's
what I'm saying. Like, this whole show was great, but then had like so many issues. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Take away some soju bottles from you.
Hey, what you did. All right, Mina, we've been here like for over 2 hours. I think we're done. I think we've talked about so many things. We chewed on the fat a lot for this show. And I think that if you are listening and you've listened this far, please like let us know what the hell you thought about Mr. Sunshine. Like, reach out to us and let us know what you thought of the episode. If we made some points that you hadn't thought of, if you want to contribute to the conversation, you felt like you needed to jump in at some point, like, let us know. Tell us.
And apologies if any of the history I gave was a little inaccurate or off the mark or something, because I was trying to read and interpret it all for this recording. So, you know, obviously I don't have the full knowledge and background of everything.
I think in their next lives, they're all going to be okay, though. Hopefully.
They're all meeting in heaven.
They're all meeting
Just
in
having a
heaven.
party in heaven.
Gudome had this whole thing where he was like walking off. His spirit was literally walking away.
Oh, yeah.
As he saw his body
that
being
was
dragged.
very surreal.
I was like, he's the only one that got that send off. Like everybody else just died, and like that was it.
Yeah,
he got like a corporal spirit, like just walking.
He got like
they loved it. To heaven. You could tell the writer, they really loved Gudome's character.
And you know, again, have to, the acting in this was so, to me, I don't watch as many dramas as you do because I don't have the time for that, but I would love to. And also, I kind of am curious if you thought their acting was as good as I thought it was. Maybe
no, yeah, it was good, really good, amazing.
It was great.
Yeah. 10 out of 10 for the acting. Okay. For the acting. Okay. I think we're going to... Mina, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on this show, for being so gracious about the hurricane, and for being very flexible. Where can people find you online if they haven't listened to the Nabulera episode and already looked you up?
Yes, please find me on Kpop Bookshelf on Instagram. That's mainly where I am. I'm really bad at tweeting, but I am Kpop Bookshelf Pod at gmail.com if you want to send me an email. Kpop Bookshelf Pod, I think that's my Twitter handle. I don't even know. But yeah, check it out. I cover a lot of not just K-pop stuff, but other stuff to try and understand things like K-dramas and Korea and Korean culture, society, all that stuff. So check it out.
Thank you. And I think that's it. That's our show.